Welcome to the December 9th meeting of the City of Tampa Variance Review Board. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, attendees, participants, and also in attendance this meeting, members of the board. From my left are Megan Cochran,
Brian Fry,
Simone Brown,
Aaron Murphy.
Okay, and we have a few from legal. We actually have a new person. Susan is here, but Taylor is sitting in the usual chair. Taylor, you want to introduce yourself? Yourself?
Of course. Good evening, everybody. My name is Taylor Pohl. If you watched last month's VRB meeting, you may have recognized me from the continuance, but I'll be up here now, so look forward to helping you guys, and it looks like it's going to be a fun evening.
Yes, a long one too. So from legal, you're going to be taking care of things. From development coordination, we have Mr. Eister, Stephen Eister, Lisa Middleton, and we also have Ismael Gonzalez. And there's some procedural rules that we need you to follow. When your case number and the petitioner's name are called, please approach the podium. And if you know you're going to be like coming up, if you wouldn't mind, just start walking towards the front. It's going to be a long evening. It'll help a little bit if we could get that moved along. So when your case number and petitioner's name are called, please approach the podium. When you approach the podium, please state your name, address, and this is very important. You have to confirm that you've been sworn in. I know we see everybody who's here. We know you're sworn in, but people at home don't necessarily know. And believe it or not, people do watch this. So the petitioner or its agent will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. All other persons or participants wishing to speak will have 3 minutes. Then the petitioner will have an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal if needed. The time periods as stated will be kept by the board. Any information such as pictures or plans that have not previously been submitted as part of the petition and that you intend to submit for consideration in support of your petition must be individually presented and accepted by the board. After acceptance by the board, you must submit the item to staff for it to be entered in the permanent record. The board bases its decision on competent and substantial evidence which is submitted and which meets the criteria required by the city's code of ordinances. Please be sure to clearly state your hardship criteria during your presentation. A majority of the board is needed to approve your variance. The variance granted by the board will be only for what is shown on the site plan and will be in compliance with any terms and conditions stated by the board. All other city codes will also need to be met. If your case is approved, your variance will expire 2 years from the date of the decision. If your case is continued, it will either be continued to next month's VRB meeting or to the next open spot in the agenda coming up. If the case is denied, you may wish to have the variance review board decision appealed. You can do that by city council. And you must file a petition for review of the board's decision within 14 days of the board's written decision. You will not be able to pull any permits until the 14-day review period has passed. Your cooperation at this meeting, ensuring that this meeting is run smoothly, is greatly appreciated. Can we have a motion from the board to approve the minutes of the October 14th meeting?
so moved.
Is there a second?
second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Okay. And then I'm going to ask our legal if we have any ex parte or any conflicts this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With regards to tonight's agenda, I'd like to ask the board if anyone has had any ex parte communications with any items on today.
No. No, sir.
Let the record reflect that everybody is answered in the negative.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Mic's
sorry about
on.
that. I'll just repeat it just because.
Okay.
With regard to today's agenda, did any of the board members have any ex parte communications?
No.
No.
Let the record reflect everybody is answered in the negative. And then with regards with the agenda tonight, do any of the board members have any conflicts of interest?
No, sir.
No.
Let the record reflect everybody is answered in the negative. Thank you.
Okay. Have swear in the audience.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Make a seat.
Thank you. Stephen, you ready to call the first case?
Yes. Just some general housekeeping before we break into this agenda for tonight. Cases 11 and 12 on the agenda misnoticed, so they will not be being heard tonight. And then cases 5 and 16 have requested a continuance to the September 10th, 2026 hearing,
September?
or February 10th, 2026 hearing.
Okay, and that was case number 5, and which one of the ones?
16.
Thank you.
And I would need a motion to continue those cases to.
So moved.
A second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
We have to state the, okay.
You have to state the
Yeah,
exact cases?
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry.
If I may interrupt, so we would need to state on the motion the exact cases that would be getting continued, along with the date, time, and location of the next hearing as well.
Okay. I stand corrected.
The next hearing is January 13th?
Yes, it is.
They've requested for February 10th.
Oh, February 10th. Okay, at 5:30. Okay, I can do it. Can both of them be done in the same? No? Okay, we'll do that too. I move that variance request for case VRB 25-83, located at 541 Lucerne Avenue, for a request to increase height 35 foot to 53 foot above ground level or 61 foot above mean sea level, reduce front yard setback from 25 feet to 4.9 feet, be continued to the February 10th variance review board meeting at 5:30.
We have a motion and we need a second.
I'm sorry, did we say the address for that? My
Yes,
apologies. Oh,
541 Lucerne Avenue.
and then the year as well for the date, my apologies.
February 10th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m.
Second.
Any questions, discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the address on that one, I apologize.
Do you want me to restate the entire thing?
Just the address, please.
541 Lucerne Avenue.
This address. This address.
Oh, the address of this building?
Yes.
Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, City Council Chambers, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
If no further discussion, we could call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed likewise. Okay, we'll
All
see
right.
them in February. And then the other one?
Yep. I move that variance request for case VRB 26-04, located at 1203 South Druid Lane, for a reduced rear yard from 12 foot to 5 feet, be continued to February 10th, 2026 at 5:30 at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, City Council Chambers, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. We'll see them in February as well.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll start with item number 1 on the agenda, VRB-25-78. The owner is, I'm gonna go with, the applicant's name is Natalie. The property address is 1021 West Coral Street. The zoning is residential, single-family, RS50. The request is to reduce the rear yard pool setback from 5 feet to 3 feet, and then for a pool screen enclosure as well, from that same reduction from 5 feet to 3 feet. The code section in reference is 27-290.3. Height, area, and bulk placement regulations for swimming pools are not permitted in the front yard. Setbacks are as follows: 5-foot setback to the side and rear yard, and observe all corner setbacks. And then these same setbacks apply to screen enclosures. This is a map of the site. This is a site plan. In the front corner here, You see there's a 47-inch grand live oak that has had the house, caused the house to shift back. This is a close-up of the pool and screen enclosure placement at 3 feet on one corner and then 3 feet 1 inch on the other corner of the property. Natural Resources had no objections with conditions, just to ensure that all sections of Chapter 27 are met at the time of permitting. Due to the grand tree in the front, they may have to take extra precautions to get around that tree, and et cetera. Transportation, wastewater, water, right-of-way, stormwater, and TECO all have no objections. This is the hardship criteria that the cases are evaluated upon, and I'm available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hi, I'm Natalie Martella. This is Eugenio. We both live at 1021 West Coral Street, Tampa, Florida, 33602, and we were both sworn in.
Thank you.
Well, Stephen covered a lot of that, and I know you've heard this once before, but we are essentially requesting a variance reduction in the rear yard setback from 5 feet to 3 feet in order to put a pool with a screened-in enclosure in our backyard. The hardship is that the house had to be built much further back than what would be considered standard, therefore making our backyard much smaller and not leaving us much room to put a pool. I have, Stephen already showed you the site plan. I have a couple of photos here. So this is just to give you an idea of how far the house is set back. You know, unfortunately, we can't put a pool in the front yard, which has actually got a lot more space than the backyard. Here's an aerial view so that you can see what that backyard looks like. There are 2 trees planted in the backyard. They will both be replanted, likely off to the sides, so that we can follow those city requirements, and that pretty much sums it up.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
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 I'm sorry, I was, no, that's entirely.
Okay, I was trying to make it quick and
We
easy.
appreciate that
Pretty
very much. You caught me
straightforward.
off
You'll have a
guard.
long agenda tonight.
I was still looking at the map just to figure out where your house was in the city of
Oh,
Tampa.
I'm
No,
sorry.
that's okay. No,
And
no,
here's
no,
the
no,
site
no.
plan if you didn't get to look. Would you like to see either of the photos again?
No,
Okay.
that's great. You turn that. Keep going. One more.
Turn it.
Turn it. Thank you. There you go. Okay. If that concludes your presentation, we have questions from the board.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
What year was, excuse me, what year was the house built?
2024.
Oh, okay. And was this a lot split, do you know? Was
It-
your house part of something bigger previously?
I'm sorry.
Was
It
the
a
lot,
split? Yes.
It-
There is a vacant lot that was split next to us, which was the one lot.
You can actually see that
Yeah.
empty lot
So the other one here.
there.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other
And then
questions?
here's the grand oak in the front
Sorry.
that pushed the
Yeah, you
house
can
so far
actually
back.
see that.
And also, the construction will not affect the grand oak at all because everything will be accessed through the back alley, which you can't really see in this photo, and through the empty lot on the side there.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Oh, is there anyone here to speak for or against this request? Seeing none, you still have rebuttal time if you'd like.
As long as there are no other questions from you all, I think we're good.
No? Then we can close the public hearing and hear from the board. Oh, no, I don't have a question.
All right, then I would like to move that variance request for case VRB 25-78 for property located at 1021 West Coral Ave be granted as depicted on the site plan, presented at the public hearing for a reduction in the rear setback from 5 feet to 3 feet for pool and pool screen, based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that this lot had a very large 47-inch oak in the front, which required the home to be pushed back. It also has a rear alley abutting the back of the lot to provide additional access in the case of an emergency. And even then, there's still the 3 feet, which is 36 inches, should be wide enough for any fire or safety folks to access the rear of the fence.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Your request is granted.
Thank you.
Wow, we've had
Thank you, Stephen.
6-0. That's a long time since we've had that many people up here.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right.
Yes, I remember it vaguely.
The next item on the agenda is VRB-25-68. The owner is Eric Seeley. The applicant is Steve Michelini. The property address is 3801 South Linwood Avenue. The zoning is residential, RS60. There are 2 requests. One request is to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 15 feet. And then the second request is to reduce the front yard setback from 25 to 17. The code section reference is 27-156, table 4-2, schedule of area, height, bulk, and placement regulations for RS60 district setbacks. And those are 25 feet from the front, 20 feet from the rear, and 7 feet from the sides. There is a old building permit in there from 2018. This is the property in question, as you can see with this red hash line here. It goes down Linwood and then comes around the side. Here's a close-up of the site plan, and we'll close up on each one of those blue and green areas, showing the setback reductions being requested. This is the first setback reduction being requested, to go from 20 to 15. There is a utility easement in the rear. And then this is the reduction in the front setback from 25 to 17. Natural Resources has no objections. Transportation had no objections. Wastewater, water, right-of-way had no objections. Stormwater had no objections with, as long as they added all those the conditions to the site plan, which are standard for the building review. And then the TICO, to summarize that email conversation, originally this plan proposed a larger setback reduction in the rear to maintain the front setback. TICO said, no, we need the increased space beyond the easement to access lines, causing the house to shift forward into the front setback. This is the criteria for the Variance Review Board, and I'll be available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Ister.
Yeah.
Mr. Michelini, welcome back.
Good evening. I appreciate you, even with the 1 month delay from last month, but I appreciate that all of you are here today. This is a request. It's a very irregular shaped lot. Well, I'm sorry, Steve Michelini. Yes, I've been sworn in. And this is 3801 Linwood,
And your address?
2407 Sunset Drive.
Thank you.
This is an irregular shaped lot, and I'll be happy to show it to you in a diagram. We had extensive conversations with TICO regarding the setbacks, and originally we had requested a larger setback in the rear and no setback in the front. They have a transformer that runs across the back with a power line, and they had requested that we increase the setback in the rear and then also increase the setback in the front. Because of the configuration of this lot, it's a very irregular shaped lot, and so the side, and this is actually considered the rear. So we was very tricky. We stair-stepped the property like this. The original house actually comes all the way down to here. So we are increasing the setbacks of the existing house. That house will be demolished, and a new structure will be built. So TICO was concerned about the separation in the rear, and they wanted it 15 feet, which pushed the house forward. And I'm going to show you on an aerial photograph here that it actually, by doing that, existing house moving forward, and here's a detail of that. It actually moves the house so that it's in line with the adjacent houses over here to the north. So by shifting the new house here, it gives you more space, and it aligns here. It gives more space in the rear. The power line runs across the back over here. So we're asking for the 15 foot from 20 from the 20 to 15 in the rear, and then 25 to 17 in the front. And this is really, it's not self-created in any way. The hardship is existing there. The irregular lot shape causes that. It does not interfere with the rights of others. As a matter of fact, the adjacent property owners to the rear are happy with the house being moved forward. It is contained in the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, and in this Tampa code, it's not meant to penalize individuals for unique conditions like this. Justice would be done in allowing this to move forward. And as I said, we've adjusted this based upon extensive discussions and working with staff as well as tree and landscape folks to allow this to move forward. We looked at the old plats, and this is one of only 2 lots in the entire subdivision that has this unique configuration. So we thought that basically that, you know, the conditions were created in 1924 when the original plat was established. It would create a hardship for this owner to not obtain some relief for this. And as I said, we showed you on the site plan the new configuration, which recognizes that unique shape of the lot. It stair steps back to provide the additional relief that was requested, and it preserves those setbacks, and it moves the building forward so it's in line with the other buildings along that side street. So it's no closer than any other building on Linwood. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. It maintains the other side yard setbacks, so we didn't ask to encroach there, just the 2 that were affected by the easement and the power lines.
Does that conclude your
That
presentation?
concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I have a quick question for you. That pool is existing? You're
Yes.
gonna keep it from the current?
Yes.
Okay,
That was my question.
sorry. Okay, any other questions from the board? Anyone here to speak for or against? And we do have a letter in opposition here, if I'm not mistaken, for this case.
I haven't seen it.
Am I looking at the wrong one? 3801 South Linwood?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, there was a letter here. And something I don't understand is they talk about trees, and I don't, excuse me, we don't have anything before us that talks about any tree removal, so I'm not quite sure.
We're not proposing any tree
Okay.
removals that would require a variance.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing none?
You should have a letter in your file with TICO. They had an initial objection, and there should be a letter in there stating their support for these reductions in setbacks.
I'm sure if there had been anything crucial, Mr. Eisner would, yes, okay, thank you. You do have rebuttal time if you'd like, but,
And you've got a long agenda, and certainly I don't want to abuse any time. I would appreciate your support for this. I think that it does have unique conditions that deserve a variance. And again, not self-created, is consistent with the code and the comprehensive plan, and is allowable under your discretion to provide the relief.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public hearing and hear from the board.
I have a question for staff. Is it after, did I wait too long?
I don't think so.
No? So, Stephen, with the, and this is a question for staff, with the proposal to move the house forward, there was a tree in an aerial view. Is that a tree that we should be aware of, or is there any significance to that tree in the front yard?
This tree right here?
Yeah. No, no, I think it's smaller than that. I don't know. I can't tell.
So I think there's a tree here, and I believe there's a tree right in this area here. Neither one are grand. And with the 17-foot setback from the front of the property, so a specimen tree has a 15-foot radius. So with the house being set back 17, the chances of it encroaching into that tree protection zone is very small.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are we ready to make a motion?
I'll go. I move that the variance request for case VRB 26-68 for property located at 3801 South Linwood Avenue,
2568?
2568,
Yes.
for property located at 3801 South Linwood Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for two requests. The request to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 15 feet, and the request to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 17 feet, based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, and specifically that this is an irregularly shaped lot that's almost triangular, and there are TICO easements running in the back and front of the property.
Second.
Any further discussion? I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? It passes 6-0.
Thank you very much, board. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you, same to you.
Moving on to the next item, BRB-25-71. The owner is S.E. Jr. and Sharon Sims. The applicant is Tiffany Thornton. The property address is 4310 West Iowa Avenue. The zoning is residential single family, RS60. The request is to reduce the corner yard setback from 7 feet to 0 feet for a carport. The section in reference is section 27-156, table 4-2. Schedule area height, bulk, and placement regulations for RS60 district setbacks are 25 feet from the front, 20 feet rear, and 7 feet on the sides. This is the current aerial of the property. This is a previous survey before the storm. As you can see, there used to be a carport in this corner where you can now see the van. This is the site modifications due to the comments given by staff. Water, right-of-way, and wastewater had issues with the fencing and what is no longer there, corner of the carport, to be adjusted and moved back to the property line. So before the hearing, the property owner had the fence relocated and moved back to the property line and out of the right-of-way. This is a layout plan of the proposed carport showing the cutoff corner that was once encroaching. The new site plan, this line follows the property line, giving it the 0-foot setback. This is a breakdown of the site plan that's in front of you in your packets today. You guys have an expanded version of the site plan showing the red hash line is the fence that was relocated. The blue is the proposed carport. And then this red corner is area that has been removed. Just to give you a version that you could look at. And that will be the site plan that goes on record and into the letter. Natural Resources had no objections Transportation contacted me today, addressing the objections they had, which all involve the 6-foot fence and the carport extending into the right-of-way, 1.7 feet for the carport, and then for the 6-foot wood fence along Coolidge Avenue that we saw in the photos earlier has been relocated. Water has objections. Per the as-built, there's a 6-inch water main along Coolidge Avenue, is located 10 feet from the property line. 10 feet horizontal distance is required. They had issues with both that and the driveway that has been existing since the house was built back in the 50s, I believe, 60s. Right-of-way had no objections. Stormwater had no objections. And then TICO had objections about the clearance, which the applicant will speak to. And this is the section for the Variance Review Board under 2780. And I'll be available for any comments, questions, concerns, or any follow-up.
Thank you. Welcome.
And the document camera's ready for you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Tiffany Thornton on behalf of the applicant, Law Office of Tiffany Thornton, located at 653 West Luston Road in Brandon. And my client, Mr. Sims, is the applicant for this property. We have both been sworn. I'm going to give my client plenty of opportunity to address directly the hardship and show his images, but I'll be available to address the objections.
Okay.
Good evening, distinguished board.
Turn
My
it-
name is, turn it around.
There you go, thank you.
My name is S.E. Sims Jr., and I reside at 4310 West Iowa Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33616. I want to thank Mrs. Middleton and Mr. Eister for guiding me through this whole process. It's been a process. And I've learned something through this, that when they say each one teach one, I can teach somebody else about property lines now. But tonight I come to address that my hardship, without this request of this variance of reduction from 7 feet to 0 feet, we will lose an entire parking space at our home. At this time, we are to park in front of our home takes away from the aesthetics of the home. We're parking in the yard sometimes, which is killing the grass at this time. When it rains real bad from the elements, like the other day, we were unable to get out the car. We had to sit in there for a couple hours, unable to get our grandson out. Without this variance request being approved, we lose the value of our home as well. We recently paid off our house after 28 years, just 3 months ago, and thank God for that. Without to rebuilding this, we'll lose value. We just got taxed as though this structure was still up as we had been done for the last 28 years. Thank God that we didn't see another storm come through, because we've been out without insurance up until this point right now. We pray that we find grace with you guys to here tonight to have this rebuilt. We're not asking that this rebuilding is to alter or the home or a new structure, but to rebuild the pre-existing structure that was all previously there before the storm hit back in October of last year. Again, I throw myself at the mercy and the grace of this board, and that's how and this is also, if I may, one of the objections was TICO. The line was hanging really low. I called TICO, and TICO came out and they stretched the line completely up. So it gives the clearance that they would need, that requested from the objections.
Do you have any additional photos you'd like?
Miss, you can see here, is that the right way or the other way?
There you go.
You can see where we were destroyed. To come home every day and to have my neighbor, we live in a great neighborhood, South Tampa. We look like we're in a war zone. And it's an eyesore, and we would love to get it fixed. I work for the city of Tampa. I'm on the verge of retiring in the next few years, and we love to have our home built back the way it was when we first initially purchased it. That's pretty. And I also have a new copy. One of the things I think Mr. Scott had mentioned in reference to possibly having a new survey done, because the survey that was presented to them, to the staff, was from 1997. As I told Mr. Eister and Ms. Middleton, we were young, we just bought a house, And all we were worried about was getting in. We didn't understand anything about surveys, and that's where we are about the property line and so forth. So we did get a new survey done, and I can submit this for the record.
Turn it.
That's right, yeah, we got for them.
It's confusing, I know. Thank you.
I'll take a brief moment as his counsel to address the objections. As relayed by staff, I think the main outstanding one was from water, as transportation has been remedied by the relocation of the fence. TICO has been remedied by the raising of the power line. Right-of-way had no objection, stormwater had no objection. As to the water line issue with regard to the request that the water main would be 10 feet from the property line, the entire structure here, number one, as he's relayed, is a pre-existing structure. He's looking to simply restore that same structure within the property line. So he's not looking to go into the right-of-way, which means he would not go within the 10 feet that has been cited. So with that, I believe we have actually addressed all of the comments and objections, and there's nothing remaining that the homeowners could do to make sure everything is clear, but he is here to address any comments or questions that exist.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board?
So I do see you're on a corner lot, and a lot of times I'm trying to see on the survey here, it says it's about 50 feet to the center line of Coolidge. So from the property line to the back of curb, you have approximately 25 feet, 30 feet, something like that. Is that correct? I mean,
Yes,
I'm looking at- all right. I'm just trying to make sure we have enough space for, you know, if a car is in trouble or something, they can pull off the side of the road and it's not gonna cause any safety issues.
They pull on the side of my house anyway all the time now.
All right, very
Yes.
good.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question, sorry. What is the property that's directly across from you? Is it just open space?
That's what, the train area?
The CSX?
Yeah, CSX, yes.
Okay, so it's likely not to be developed or anything? It's maybe a question for staff, legal staff, I don't know.
I don't believe I can speak on that, on what the future development possibilities are for across the street.
Do you know who owns it?
CSX. We've had issues with the homeless being in there when code enforcement eventually came out and cleared them out. But CSX owns it. They won't raise the trees up so it would be visible. So that they don't want to do it because they say people may run into the train path. So it's they too owns it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? If not, we'll close the public hearing and hear from the audience. And is anyone here to speak for or against? Okay, very quiet tonight. Even so, you do have time for rebuttal if you'd like.
No further comments from us.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll close the public hearing, and what's the board's pleasure?
I can make a motion. I would like to move that the variance request for case VRB 25-71 for property located at 4310 West Iowa Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at public hearing for a reduction in the corner yard setback from 7 feet to 0 feet for construction of a carport. Based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that this property is a very irregular shaped lot. The homeowners were able to fix the existing property line and fencing issues. They are only trying to replace an existing carport that was destroyed by the hurricanes and storms. This house was built back in the 60s, so it's been there for an extremely long time. And that there's no safety, health, welfare issues, being that the property line is still about 25 feet from the back of curb, so there's still space for any motorists that need space to pull over.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed likewise? Thank you for your presentation. Your motion passed 6-0.
Moving on to the next item of the agenda is VRB 25 -82. The owner is RIZQ Holdings LLC. The applicant is Two Young Architects. The property address is 4066 Henderson Boulevard. The zoning is Commercial General, CG. The request is to reduce the required parking spaces from 11 spaces to 9 spaces for a medical use. The section in reference is 27-283.7. Number of off-street parking spaces for medical use requires 6 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet. They've had previous actions, a DE 1-25-153 to reduce the VUA buffers, and then SPR 25-0002236 for the remodel. This is the property in question. This is the proposed site plan. It's a little hard to see, so I'll highlight it with my mouse. This is the reduced VUA buffer due to the existing parking. Actually, let me go from the beginning. They did what was called a change of use. When the change of use was put into effect, it triggered all requirements of the code to be complied with, which required landscape islands, 8-foot buffers, and the new parking requirement for the medical use. So they got the DE1 to vest the existing buffer areas, and they worked with transportation to create this new parking layout. Originally, the parking was here along this side and backed out onto West Estrella Street, which is not allowed. So they converted their parking, and in doing so, they now have the reduced amount of spaces compared to what they needed before. Natural Resources had no objections. The buffers have been reduced through the DE1. Natural Resources has no objections to the parking reduction. Transportation has no objections. The applicant has submitted a well-prepared site plan and parking reduction narrative in support of the requested design exception. The proposal enhances public safety by eliminating backup parking in the right-of-way and provides an efficient on-site parking layout. This reflects a practical approach to addressing parking needs while advancing the city's goal of sustainable development. Jonathan Scott, PE, PSM, and then his contact information. Wastewater had no objections with conditions. The owner/developer may need to submit an application to receive a commitment for wastewater services for the proposed project. The commitment will contain the conditions and costs, if any, for wastewater services. Water had no objection. Proposed variance does not impact existing water infrastructure, utility application, along with the water commitment required prior to permit issuance. Right-of-way had no objections. Stormwater had no objections, just stating that they need to comply with the stormwater technical standards and Chapter 21 of the City of Tampa Code. This is the criteria for your review under 27-80, and I'll be available for any comments, questions, concerns.
Thank you. Is the applicant ready?
There you go. Gary Young, 1532 Owls Retreat, Tarpon Springs, Florida. I was sworn in.
Thank you.
I'm here representing Dr. Hamoy, the owner, who is also here tonight also. This site, as you can see, is a triangular site, and in trying to meet all the requirements of the city parking and buffers, landscaping, and renovations to the site, we were able to get 9 parking spaces on the site. Dr. Hamoy currently has an office in Tampa where he has 7 parking spaces. He's an endodontist, so he doesn't generate the traffic as a typical dentist would. So 7 serves his purposes. So we were able to get 9 on the site, given the constraints of the triangular site. And we're asking for a reduction from the code required 11 down to the 9, which will more than serve his needs. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay.
Unless you have any questions for myself or Dr. Hamoy.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. So was the change of use to change it to just so I understand it, what was it previously that required the 11?
It was a dental office previously,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And currently, most of the site is asphalt. And that was, all the parking along Estrella and Henderson is currently, vehicle movements happen on the right-of-way on both streets currently. So we're reducing that and correcting that situation.
And can you point, I can't read everything on here, can you
Yes.
point to where, is there trash pickup on the site, and is there,
There is trash right down in here.
okay,
It's cans, it'll be taken out to the curb, and they are screened,
okay, thank you.
yes.
This is right across from Seaborn Day School, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
This is across Henderson from Seaborn Day School?
I believe, across
Someone
Estrella.
is, yes, your client is shaking his head, yes, thank you. Okay, I was just trying to figure out where it is since there's no other streets on here. Okay. Any further questions from the board? Anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing none. Mr. Young, you have anything you want to add?
I don't, unless you have any questions. We appreciate your efforts.
Okay. Close the public hearing and hear from the board.
My only question, and it might be for staff, is that in the future, if this site is used again for something with a little bit more density, I don't even know if that's the right word, activity, would the parking still be limited to this site plan, or would they have to so are we limiting this? I mean, I know it's tied to the site plan, but I don't know if this would affect anything in the future. Is that?
So with medical, the only other use that can't be reduced administratively are medical and bars. So those, we've considered those kind of like the two highest. So if something lower comes in, it will not trigger this again. Because medical is right up there at the top as far as like spaces per use. So anything else that comes in here will be fine, because it will be a lower level use.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody ready to make a motion?
Yeah, I can do it. It was just strange that the change of use triggered this and it went from a dental office to a dental office,
Yeah.
but in any event. Endodontist, or whatever it may be.
I think you said odontist, and I'm not quite sure I know the difference, so.
All right. Well, then I'll go ahead and try to make a motion here. I would like to move that the variance request for case VRB 25-82 for property located at 4066 Henderson Boulevard be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in parking space requirements from 11 to 9. Based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in 27-80 of the city code, specifically that this is an irregular lot. Some of these parking issues arose from the right-of-way needs along Estrella Street. That this hardship is also changed by a change of use from dental to medical. And the current office that this doctor is working out of only has 5 spaces, so this should not cause any sort of congestion.
Second.
Have a motion? A
Did the
second?
motion. He already did it.
A second?
Second. Yeah, he seconded.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Okay, it passes 6-0. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving right along, we're on
We're gonna
item
do for a longer amount of time.
We're on item VRB-25-84 for Yulzi Lugo and Suarez. The property address is 1711 West Erna Drive. The zoning is residential single-family RS 60. The request is to reduce the side yard setback for an accessory structure from 3 feet to 22 inches. The section of reference is section 27-290, schedule of area, height, bulk, and placement regulations. Accessory structure setbacks are 60 feet from the front, 3 feet from the rear, and 3 feet from the sides, and 15 foot in height. And then there is a previous action, CMP-25-0006214 for a unpermitted ADU. This is a overall view of the site plan or the property. You can see the shed structure here in the rear yard. Where my mouse? There it is. Right here. This is a survey of the site showing the existing home and then the shed that is 1.8 feet from the property line on this corner and then 1.9 feet from the property line on this corner. It is meeting the 60 foot from the front and the 3 feet from the rear. This is a close-up of that site plan showing the 1.8 and the 1.9. Natural Resources had no objections. The accessory structure has been constructed. There are no trees located within the project area. Transportation, wastewater, water, right-of-way, stormwater have no objections. TECO had no objections with conditions. We have no concerns with the concrete that has been poured in the area. However, we do not approve of the area being covered as it would not meet the requirements for the meter can, which the accessory structure does not have a meter can. The house has the meter, which is located over here. And then this is the standards for review under 2780. And I'll be available for any comments, questions, concerns.
Okay. Come on up.
My name is Doris Bimera. The address is 1711 West Erna Drive, Tampa,
Could you speak
Florida.
up? It's very hard to hear you. I'm not sure if it's a microphone issue.
Doris Bimera. The address is 1711 West Erna Drive, Tampa, Florida, 33603. And I sworn.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we are requesting the variance because we moved the shed from 22 to 36. That's the request. We did it because when we did it, we didn't know that we are moving too far, so we did it based on the old fence that was in the house before. We did the shed because my son has a condition. The doctor said that he needed a space for him to do the manual things and painting, stuff like that. We did it, and we didn't know that we move a little bit further than we have to do it. That's my.
Do you have any photos or anything else that you want
Yes.
to show?
So this is the structure here.
Upside down. There we go, thank you.
So the neighbor, he's not complaining about the shed, so. And this is the other.
Okay, anything else that you want to present?
No.
Okay, so does that conclude your presentation? Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, questions from the board?
So, Stephen, is this building what they're considering the unpermitted ADU?
That is correct, but when evaluating the code case, I can't confirm if it is an ADU. As far as I can tell from the files there is no kitchen in it.
Right,
That's the
it's an
defining
accessory
factor.
structure,
It's
it's
an
not an
accessory
accessory
structure.
dwelling unit.
That is
Because
correct.
there's a big difference.
There is a big difference.
There's a big difference, okay. I guess my question is with all of the space, and you built this structure, correct? Okay. With all of the space in your backyard, why did you put it so close to your lot line?
It's because we did it based on the old fence. There was an old fence, moved a little bit further than the one that is now, and we did it based on that.
Okay, but again, why so, how far was the old fence from where it is now, from the current fence?
It was like 2 feet or 1 feet and a half.
Okay, so again, my question would be, why so close? Why not move it? You have a considerable amount of space behind the house, right?
It was a mistake.
Okay,
we
and
apologize
it was
for that.
non-permitted, correct? You did not pull a permit for it? Okay. What is this? So it's 20 by 12? Is that correct? 20 by 12? Looks like 20 by 12. 20 and, okay. Okay. All right, thank you.
My question is for Stephen. So has this received building permits?
So the structure cannot receive building permits until this setback issue has been resolved.
And my question for the applicant is, are you opposed to moving it from the fence line? Because it's very close, and it's big and it's beautiful, but if something happens, it's so close to the fence that it could be hard to access all sides to like, if it was a fire or something like that. So would you be opposed to moving it a little bit further
No.
away?
I'm not opposed, but it's gonna be really, really bad for us to move it because, so we need to do the whole thing, I believe, so.
Okay. And I'm a little confused when you say you moved it. Where was it? You're not talking about this particular structure itself? You picked it up
No,
and
I'm-
moved it,
I'm
or you
talking
built
about
a
the
new one?
I'm talking about the fence that was before.
Could we see the pictures again? Could you put the pictures back up?
Say that again?
The pictures?
Yeah.
It almost has no eave on that side. So that's, at least it's got that going for
Yeah.
it.
And I don't know what's on the other side. I mean, Simone said something about
Can you push the picture up a
emergency,
little
but
bit
I don't
more?
know what
Fire.
that would have.
No, yeah,
There you go.
okay.
And there's power running to it, right? There's some power, because there's lights on. There's electricity.
The electricity is more close to the fence.
So the meter, the meter's coming off your house, correct? There's not a separate meter for the property.
No.
So, is the power supplied to the building, is that run from the home, underground, I'm guessing? Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing none? Taylor, you look like you're confused. Did I? No. Okay, all right. Anyone here to speak for or against? If not, then you have rebuttal time if you'd like, if you have anything you want to add.
No.
Okay, then we'll close public hearing and hear from the board.
What is remind me what the accessory structure square footage is that requires a permit? Anything over, I think, 100.
100.
Right, I think is the, 10 by 12 is the, right, 10 by 12.
Mhm.
So it's considerably larger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with this one, because it's one of those things where if you had pulled permits, or if permits had been pulled in the first place, or attempted to be pulled, you would have been guided to not place it where it's been placed. So, and I think the proximity to the fence is an issue for safety. But yeah, I have a problem with it. I am also not seeing a real clearly defined hardship, as opposed to like, because of not seeing a hardship, I mean, I think there's some feasibility to move it so that they can keep it, but not right here.
I agree.
I mean, it's a self-created hardship.
Yeah.
Which comes before us a lot, right? Permits weren't pulled. Now there's a situation. The hardship was created by the person that built it. And I just don't know. I don't think I can approve it.
Okay. So anybody want to make a motion?
Can I talk? Can I say something?
No, I'm sorry, we closed the public hearing already.
Okay.
I move that the variance request for VRB 25-84, for case VRB 25-84 for the property located at 1711 West Erna Drive, for a request to reduce the side yard setback of an accessory structure from 3 foot to 22 inches be denied due to the failure of the petitioner to meet its burden of proof to provide competent and substantial evidence in the record at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria as set forth in sections 27-80 of the city code, specifically that this is a self-imposed hardship, that there was no permit pulled for this structure. If there had been, they would not have been able to build it regardless of where the fence is or was.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'll call a question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Okay, I'm sorry your motion was denied. You can get with Stephen after the meeting and discuss it with him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving to the next item on the agenda is VRB 25-88. The owner is MOA Holdings LLC. The applicant is Coastal Point Construction. The property address is 6603 Interbay Boulevard. The zoning is residential single family RS 60. The request is to reduce the south front yard setback from 25 feet to 18 feet and reduce the north front setback from 25 feet to 10 feet. The code section of reference is 27-156, table 4-2. Area, height, and bulk placement regulations of RS 60 district setbacks are 25 feet from the front, 20 feet in the rear, and 7 feet on the sides. The previous actions were FDN-25-48 for a legal non-conforming lot, and then a demolition permit for the previous structure. This is the property in question. It has 2 front yards. As you can see, Interbay runs here, and this is a platted, unimproved right-of-way that runs across the back. So it is still considered a frontage, giving it the 2 fronts to the north and south. This is the site plan showing the reduction in setbacks. So this is the first area showing there's a 54-inch tree here. They're outside of that protective radius, as well as the 18-foot setback line. This is the rear, showing the 10-foot setback here to the blue line. And then they do have the encroachment that is allowed by code for eaves and gutters. So if you see that, those little points that extend over that 10 feet, that's what those are. And then this is the platted right-of-way to the rear, plus an additional space for utilities and things like that. Natural Resources had no objections with conditions. Natural Resources are at the time of construction, additional natural resources changes and requests can be made to ensure all other applicable sections of Chapter 27 of the City of Tampa Code and City of Tampa Tree and Landscape Manual are met. Transportation had no objections, wastewater, water, right-of-way, stormwater, and TICO also had no objections. This is the criteria under 2780 for hardship. And I'm available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Hi, Shannon Delane, representing Coastal Point Homes. When we purchased the property, I'm sorry,
Your address?
sorry, my
and
address.
have you been sworn in?
I have been sworn in. Property address is 6603 Inner Bay Boulevard. My address is 275 116th Avenue in Treasure Island.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. When the client purchased the property initially, there was an old house on it, and it was in really poor condition, so we initially went for the demo permit. I started speaking with the city about what we could do. My first course of action was to determine the setbacks because it's such a crazy lot and there are two different frontages. The first thing I tried to do is get a formal decision letter, having the frontage actually be the shorter, per code, the shorter frontage. And that would have been South Himes. He ruled no on that. So then I started looking at how we could play with the setbacks based on keeping that large 54-inch tree. And everything we tried to do, I think I met with many people in the city, and they were like, look, you just got to go for a variance, see what you can do here. I brought this. This is I'm not sure if I do it upside down or, yeah. This is the way that the lot looks with the existing setbacks. If this is a frontage, I initially thought this was the rear until I spoke with Stephen today. So if this is also a frontage, this is now 25 foot as well. So you can see this area here would be the only buildable area. You really can't even fit a two-car garage there. So without these reductions in setback, due to the triangular shape, it would almost be an unbuildable lot. It's been sitting there for almost a year now, just sitting kind of an empty lot. So we definitely want to be able to get the reduction so that we can improve the property, create something nice and beautiful there. I had a couple calls from a few neighbors, and after speaking with them about our intent, they seemed pretty okay with it, so we went ahead and continued on with this. This is with the proposed reduced setbacks. Obviously, we've drawn up some sketches and some designs on how we can maximize the lot, but looking at it, I know that I'll most likely need to reduce the actual footage of certain things just due to our, impervious ratios and different things like that. So if anything, the actual building that would go through permitting would be smaller than what is proposed here. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yes, ma'am. So you represent Coastal Point Construction, who
Yes.
purchased this lot?
Yes.
Okay. And this is, so when you purchase a piece of property, an odd-shaped piece of property like this, my assumption is that there was a due diligence period, correct?
There was a due diligence. I was not with the company at that time,
Okay.
but there was a due diligence done. But during that, we were in talks with the city and believed that that formal decision letter would allow that short frontage and then making both of these sides. So that would have taken care of the issue. It wasn't until we received that letter, the lot had already been purchased at that point.
Okay.
Okay, so you did not get a definitive,
Correct.
but you went forward to purchase the lot.
Correct, they did.
Okay.
They did.
Thank you.
The existing house that was sitting there was not within these setbacks that are here. It was, very close to the rear lot line and everything else like that. There are other houses up and down the street. They're in, different angles, shapes, and forms. It's an older neighborhood, so a lot of this was platted and built. There really aren't any new homes in the neighborhood. So everything is a little funky. You can see when you're looking at the aerials and stuff, things are skewed and forward, backwards throughout the entire neighborhood. So this is just our effort to try and still create something and build on the lot and improve upon it and keep the beautiful 54-inch tree in doing so. And
Great.
Thank you.
Was the former home oriented towards Inter Bay, or was it facing the other
It
short
was
front?
towards Inter Bay. It did not have a garage, which now I'm understanding with urban development, we are required to, create a garage and somewhere to park. So it was a non-conforming structure, and sitting on the lot in a non-conforming way as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
What's the total square footage on that lot, do you know?
And I don't have the survey in front of me. Do you have it right there? Sorry, I may have it right here. Yeah, so the lot area is 7621.
Interesting.
Were you gonna add something, Stephen? Okay. Go for it.
Okay, I have a question for staff. So the Mango Ave that appears to be platted, or that is platted, is there any intention to actually pave it? I mean, it looks like right now it just runs behind these parcels.
That is correct. There is nothing current
Yeah.
for it, but it is a city-owned right-of-way, so it has to be treated as that,
Okay.
improved or unimproved.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if there's plans to
Yeah.
put anything there. Okay. So trash doesn't go that way? It's not like an alley?
It is just grass.
It's grass.
Okay.
It's dirt and grass.
Okay.
currently.
Okay.
And if I can add, any reduction in setback, whether it's what we've asked for, any reduction would help substantially just to be able to put something there. It doesn't have to be quite this, but any reduction would be appreciated if you guys,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Right, any further questions? If not, is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing none, you have rebuttal time if you'd like to add anything.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, we'll close public hearing and hear from the board. Anybody ready for a motion?
It's a tough one. I don't know how you would build on the lot without having to reduce the setbacks. It's impossible to build on, so.
Yeah. You actually have 3 front yards, because you've got Mango, you've got Inter Bay,
And
you've got
Himes.
Himes.
It's crazy.
But other than that,
I think,
And a 54-inch oak.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
So
yes,
it's,
so
it's a tough lot.
I think they've been creative on making something work on the lot, so.
I
would
look
support it.
forward to seeing what they come up with.
And we have the evening of triangle lots.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, right,
Um, I'm happy to make a motion. I move that the variance request for case VRB 25-88 for property located at 6603 Interbay Boulevard be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction of the south front yard setback from 25 feet to 18 feet and a reduction in the north front setback from 25 feet to 10 feet upon the be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing, based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that this is a triangular shaped lot with 2 frontages, and they're also taking into consideration a 54-inch oak.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Your motion passes.
Thank you very
6-0.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda is VRB 25-89. The owner is Peter and Kelly Mullen. The property address is 3112 West Paxton Avenue. The zoning is residential, single-family, RS 60. The request is to remove a grand tree to construct a new single-family residence. The code section in reference is section 27-284.2.5, permit for grand tree removal, and the required documentation, standards, and criteria for the decision, inspection, and petition for review. The previous action is SPR 25-0002436, and that's for the proposed home. This is the site in question. It's a long lot off of Paxton Avenue. The tree information is a live oak, Quercus virginiana. The DBH is 34 inch. The canopy measurement is 64 feet by 70 feet. The condition is a C8. The mitigation is 15 type 1 trees at 2.5 inch DBH. These are photos of the grand tree in question, along with the previous structure that used to be located about 5 feet off of the tree. This is what the structure, the house looked like before. The grand tree in question is right here, labeled G1. As you can see right here on the mouse, it was located at the back corner of the old house. This is the proposed plan showing the tree in question right here in the side yard. And then this is the proposed home, pool, and then an accessory structure in the rear. This shows what that same residence would look like without the pool and accessory structure pushed to the rear of the property, outside of the grand tree protection zone. And then this is alternative site plan 2, showing what can be constructed if they utilize the front setback and built on the structure, or built on the house. And that says, through the hatching, 17 feet, 11 inches. And that's a two-story, what would be a two-story CMU residence. Natural Resources has no objections with conditions. See the uploaded in our memorandum. Transportation had no objections. Wastewater, no objections. Water, right-of-way, and stormwater all have no objections. And then TICO had no objections with conditions. And then see the attached TICO memo. This is the criteria under 27-284.2.5 for grand tree removal, requiring the proposed site plan as well as the 2 alternatives, showing how the lot could be developed around the tree. And then I'll be available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Thank you. There you go. Hi, my name is Peter Mullen. I reside at 3008 West Julia Street, Tampa, Florida, 33629, and I've been sworn in. Stephen, thank you very much for the opportunity. You did a really good job of presenting my case. I think got a couple additional photos I want to share just to kind of get a sense
Turn
for
around. Upside down.
the, oh, upside down, sorry.
There you go, thank you.
Just a sense for the tree and the kind of the location of the proximity of the tree to the existing home. As you can see in the documents that Mr. Eister presented, the canopy's quite large, the tree's quite large, it's encroaching over. It's a very narrow lot, it's only 50 feet, it's deep. I'm not looking to get any particular variance to the setbacks that are required within that zoning, the RS50 zoning. Looking to improve the property, the home that's existing there, sustained some, sustained some damage during the storm. Took on a little bit of water, so with the ability to remove this tree, allow me to go ahead and develop a much more appropriate property for the area, which will increase the value for everybody within the area, as well as get that home out of the existing, be able to raise that elevation and get it up and not have the possibility of flooding in the future again. It's heavily overgrown now, so the canopy's kind of preventing some of the natural light and stuff from getting onto that lot and allowing new growth and vegetation and, really a developable lot at that point, so. That's all I really have. I don't have any other comments or feedback at this point.
Does that conclude your presentation?
It does, yes.
Okay, questions from the board?
I've got a question for Mr. Eister. This does not qualify for the tree removal act due to the size of the lot?
It's both. So as you see, the property here with the fence and the wood fence, that's the property line. So for the tree removal zone, if everything else qualifies, you have to have it has to be within the tree zone. So you have your setback plus a certain number of feet. And then that's the tree removal zone. So it wouldn't qualify either way, but because of how long this lot is, it would disqualify it as well.
Gotcha. Even though it's in the non-tree removal zone and it's occupying 50% of the lot,
correct,
non-buildable area. Interesting. And it's a C8. I know C9, we probably wouldn't be sitting here.
That is correct.
If he was to build one of these other ones in the front or the back, do you think, the construction equipment getting through, and is it even possible to build something here without hurting the tree to the point where it wouldn't survive anyways?
So with the canopy and when you're elevating houses, and we've been seeing this a lot lately, especially with trees in side yards, it's very hard to get in there, elevate everything, and then drop in, say, trusses and other stuff, because you have cranes, what have you, and we end up losing probably large limbs, et cetera, from that process. And then trees in the side yard are very difficult because of the 20-foot radius. When you have a 50-foot lot, you have 20 feet on one side, 7 feet setback on the other side. It leaves you with that 17-foot, 11-inch wide structure that goes down the side yard, once you observe all other setbacks.
Gotcha. I just think it's important to know these things when we're looking at alternatives. You know, we of course want to save trees, but if we're looking at alternatives, that even the construction of an alternative, very funky, tiny shotgun house would still most likely kill the tree.
It would have impacts to the tree,
It
yes.
needs to be known for our decision.
Correct.
Thanks.
Mr. Mullen, when did you purchase this lot?
June of April of last year. Oh, sorry, this year, sorry, sorry.
And there's 3 site plans proposed here, so. I
Correct.
mean, what is your preference? I'm not sure what, I mean, I'm assuming you want to have,
Well, here's the one's the site plan that I'm proposing, and then the other 2 were showing options that if we shifted the house back, it would encroach in the rear setback to stay outside of the build zone of the tree, and then the other option, obviously, is option 2, which reduces the house significantly down to 17 feet wide, 18 feet
Okay.
wide, which doesn't really make it viable at that point.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, anyone here to speak for or against the case? Seeing none,
No, I don't. I would just like to note, during the notice period, we received positive feedback from all our surrounding neighbors, phone calls and emails as well, so there was no objection to anybody. We're
Okay.
looking forward to getting some new construction in the area, so.
Thank you. Close the public hearing and open the vote.
Yeah, as much as we want to save the trees, this tree is in a bad spot, and it's not a very good tree.
No.
It's just, it's gonna get worse when you do a construction on the site. I think it's an easy one to support.
I think that they could go to great heroics and it's not gonna make a difference. And as much as it pains me, I see it that way too. Anyone ready for a motion?
Sure. All right, so I'll move that the variance request for case VRB 25-89 for property located at 3112 West Paxton Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for removal of a grand tree based upon the petitioner meeting the burden of proof with regard to the 6 factors determining tree removal as set forth by section 27-284.2.5 T4 of the city code. For granting tree removal, specifically the evidence provided on the record showed that this is not a very healthy tree, and it is right in the middle of the lot, and it really makes the lot almost unbuildable, and therefore a variance should be granted.
We have a motion, a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed likewise? Okay, the motion passes 6-0.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Mr. Mullin.
Moving right along, we have VRB 25-91. The owner of this property is Black Point Assets, Inc., trustee. The property address is 8306 North Seams Street. The zoning is residential, single-family, RS 50. The request is to reduce the side yard setback from 7 feet to 6 feet for a one-car garage. Originally, they were going to do 7 feet to 1 feet, but then after the redesign, they were able to get it 6 feet from the property line. The code section in reference is 27-156, table 4-2. Schedule of area, height, bulk, and placement regulations. RS 50 district setbacks are 20 feet front, 20 feet in the rear, and 7 feet on the sides. This is a current view of the home. This is the proposed site plan showing the 6 foot for the one-car garage, and then there's an addition happening to the rear of the house as well. Currently, the house has a few code enforcement complaints running on it due to not maintaining the home. It's actually starting, like the front porch you can see is starting to fall off the home, and et cetera. So they are coming in to kind of redevelop the lot. This is a close-up of that property, showing the wall at 6'1". The red line here is the 7-foot setback as it kind of runs down the property line. Natural Resources had no objections with conditions. See the uploaded NR memo. Originally, there was a large laurel oak in the rear, but after looking through additional code enforcement complaints on the site, the tree did fail. And they had a dangerous tree complaint that they had to handle. So that removed any trees within the project area. Transportation, wastewater, water, right-of-way, and stormwater, along as with TICO, had no objections or no objections with conditions. And this is the review criteria for the variance review board, under 27-80. And I'll be available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Thank you, sir.
Also, they closed all the code things were all closed. Yep. So do I need to let them know that? Okay, thanks. Good evening, thank you for your time. My name's Matthew Muley.
I'm sorry, please say that again. Matthew?
Matthew Muley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm for Black Point, for the property owner. I just also want to point out, because I thought I heard something about code, those were closed out, those issues, so we resolved all those whatever the issues that they had. I think a lot of it was accumulation of junk or something, but they were all been resolved. Just to let you know that. Yes.
Yes.
What's
Did
your
you want me
ad?
to
You need to
swear?
say that and your address, please.
And
Oh, sure.
whether you're sworn in.
Yes, I was sworn in, and my address is 13014 North Mabry, number 357, Tampa, Florida 33618.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we are here today. We're respectfully requesting, as was mentioned, a 1-foot reduction that required setback to allow the construction of a single car, not a double car, just a single car garage at the property. It currently has no garage or covered parking, which creates ongoing challenges related to security, weather protection, safe storage, places for the property. It also places it out of step with the functional standards that are typical in the surrounding neighborhood. In this particular property, it's in the Sulphur Springs area, and we've had issues with stolen aspects there. So certainly the security aspects is a significant concern as well. That a garage would provide, a single car garage would provide. Variance that we're asking to be granted may be granted, I guess, when a strict adherence to the setback requirements creates a practical difficulty or an unnecessary hardship that's not caused by us, and where the variance meets the necessary to achieve a reasonable use of the property. So due to the lot's, the narrow width of it, in the primary structure location, it makes it physically impossible to construct a standard size single car garage, which is why we're asking for just a 1-foot variance that complies with the current setback requirements without rendering the structure unusable or requiring substantial alteration to the home. These conditions are inherent to the property and not self-created, fulfilling, I believe, the criteria that you require. Also the proposed garage site, as I mentioned, it's modest in size and design. It's been planned to remain consistent with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. Due to the lot's existing dimensions and configuration, the garage cannot be constructed in compliance with standard setback requirements without rendering it unusable or significantly altering the structure of the home as mentioned. The requested 1-foot variance is the minimum necessary to construct the functional appropriate scaled garage that meets the modern residential needs while preserving the architectural integrity of the property. We've also consulted with the immediate neighbors regarding the proposed project, and all of them we've received great support for. They're supportive of it, and it won't impede any visibility, access, light, or will it negatively affect the property values of the neighborhood. And in fact, it'll actually improve the overall safety, appearance, and functionality of the property in a way that aligns with the efforts to enhance the neighborhood. Consistent also with the zoning, that are to promote the orderly development and enhance neighborhood quality. The proposed garage meets the goals by providing secure, weather-protected parking consistent with expectations of a single-family residential use. And also in reducing on-street parking congestion, improving the overall appearance and compatibility of the homes in the surrounding area, and increasing the safety and utility without altering the neighborhood character. So it's been designed to be compatible with the neighboring structures, and its placement respects to aesthetic rhythm and massing on the block. The 1 foot deviation remains well within the scale and intent, I believe, that you are allowed. And again, as mentioned, it doesn't present any impact on the public health, safety, or welfare. And given the extremely small scale of the variance and the hardship tied to the property's physical conditions, I would appreciate your granting this request. That's it. Beg your pardon?
Does that conclude your presentation? I'm sorry.
Unless, did you have anything else to add? I believe so.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Any questions from
Everyone's.
the board? Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing none, is there anything you'd like to add in the rebuttal?
Oh, no, I'm fine.
All
Thank you,
right,
though.
we'll close the public hearing here from the board. It's only a 1 foot difference, so I'm surprised it wasn't done administratively, but there must be a reason why.
Yeah, and it would appear, I like the fact that they were able to manipulate it so that it's no longer 1 foot, it's less than what the original request was going to be.
Yes, very much so. Somebody ready to make a motion? I'll make a motion.
Move the variance request case VRB 25-91 for property located at 8306 North Sims Street be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a request to reduce side yard setback from 7 feet to 6 feet for a 1-car garage based upon the applicant presented competent and substantial evidence in the record at the public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulties when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-8 of the city code, specifically that they want to add a 1-car garage to enhance the property and to add value to the neighborhood.
I have a motion, a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Thank you. Your motion passes.
Yeah, that's even.
6-0.
Moving to the next item on the agenda, BRB-25-93. The owner is Frank and Jane Kalapakis. The applicant is Hillward Henderson. How do you say it? Kalpakis. Frank and Jane Kalpakis. The applicant is Hillward Henderson. The property address is 3616 West Obispo Street. The zoning is residential single-family RS50. The request is to increase the accessory structure height from 15 feet to 27 feet. The code section of reference is section 27-290. Schedule of area height and bulk placement regulations. Accessory structure setbacks are 60 feet from the front, 3 feet from the rear, 3 feet from the sides, and 15 feet in overall height. This is a map of the site showing the main house here and the accessory structure here. This is a site plan showing where there is an accessory structure on site and where the new one is going to go, meeting those 3 foot and 3 foot setbacks. This is a overview of the elevations showing the new two-story accessory structure. Natural Resources had no objections with conditions. The one-story garage is existing. Due to the off-site tree, any subgrade or pruning work is required. An arborist shall be on site to ensure that no adverse impacts occur. Transportation had no objections. Wastewater, no objections. Water, no objections. Right-of-way, no objections. And stormwater, no objections with conditions. Just to add a note at the site plan stating the development shall comply with stormwater technical standards, Chapter 21 in the City of Tampa Code. And then TICO had no objections with conditions to see the uploaded TICO memo. The section for your review is 27-80, the hardship criteria. And I'll be available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Good evening, Jamie Mayer of the law firm Hillward Henderson, representing the applicant, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700, and I have been sworn, and I apologize for being, I think, the only applicant so far to make this board sit through a PowerPoint of my own, and I will try to go through it as quickly as possible. So as Mr. Eister explained, this is a request for a variance to the height for an accessory structure to allow for a second story. The height is 12 feet over the standard 15-foot height, and that is to allow for that second story as well as roof architecture to complement the principal structure. Because the existing accessory structure on site is developed to appear complementary to the existing home, and so we want to continue that pattern. Just want to upfront say that there's no kitchen proposed. This is not intended to be an ADU. It's just flex additional living space for the owners. And the total square footage is just under at 749, just under that 750 square feet that is permitted in RS 50 for an accessory structure. And the existing accessory structure is about half that, and that's the single story. I know you've just seen these. I just wanted to show them side by side so that you can kind of contextualize the existing single story accessory structure with the proposed two-story version of that. And then again, a note on this style. On this side is the principal home structure, and you can see how the existing accessory structure really calls out a lot of the details of the home structure. And then I know you just saw the elevations, so I won't linger on them, but you can really see with respect to that roof feature, which is part of the height that's required, the railing, the columns, the lap siding, those are all drawing from the principal structure because we want to continue that pattern of it complementing the home. The layout of the site precludes the ability to have that additional accessory structure square footage without the vertical expansion that we're proposing. As I mentioned again, the code allows up to 750 square feet for an accessory structure in Res 50. Now, as I also mentioned, that existing single-story accessory structure is about half of that. So if you can imagine somehow doubling the existing single-story accessory structure's footprint horizontally, you can see that that would require significant space on site that they do not have, especially considering that the principal structure does protrude a little bit in the rear there, and you are required to have that 5-foot eave-to-eave separation between structures. So the only feasible opportunity to get that additional space that the code does allow for an accessory structure is to go vertical. This is not a self-created practical difficulty. The applicants did not build either of these two structures, but they've been here for about 30 years, and they're now seeking some additional space, which I know this board has seen many times is not unusual for residents who've lived somewhere for a long time, especially when you see new construction going up around you that's probably bigger than both of these structures combined. We don't think that there will be any injury to anybody in the surrounding area. We are maintaining the accessory structure setbacks. The windows on the south and the west elevations are designed to avoid any potential intrusion into those neighbors, both in terms of the height of the windows and the number of windows, and both of those property owners on the south and the west have seen the elevations and support the request. We did do a pruning study on that shared tree along the southern boundary, and it found that there will be no injury as a result of the second story to that tree, so there's no issue there. And we find this is in harmony with the code. Again, the code does contemplate up to that 750 square foot size for an accessory structure, and this does preserve the character of having an accessory structure that complements the character of the principal structure. Although this is not a criteria, we wanted to show you the letters of support that we did receive. All of the properties that are highlighted in green, which you can see are all of the applicant's immediate neighbors and those across the street. And the applicant did receive some verbal support that is not reflected here because we did not have a letter form. On balance, we find this request justified. Again, we don't think there's any negative impact that will result to the surroundings, but it will be a very impactful addition for the applicant. Owners live in these homes. They seek to update them when they've been there for a long time as the homes age, and they're really limited to do so unless they have the benefit of a blank slate of new construction. When you're working within the confines of what's already there, we find this is a reasonable balance by virtue of a variance to be able to tap into that 750 square feet that the code would allow. With that, we respectfully request your approval and are here for questions, and that concludes my presentation. So the house was built when? I believe in the 90s.
We've been there 30 years, and I think the house.
I'm sorry, if you want to come up and speak, you're welcome to take
I don't
the
believe
mic.
he was sworn in, so we would need to do that. Otherwise, I can
Okay.
just consult with him.
We can, wait, time out.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Frank Alpacas, 3616 West Obispo Street, Tampa. We moved in the house in 1990, and, or not 94, our second daughter was born. And the house was, I think, built like 7 years prior, so late 80s.
Okay. And the garage that you're asking for the variance on?
It was built with the house as well.
And so are you tearing it down and building it new, or are you just adding a second story to it?
We talked about both ways, and we decided that it's easier to demolish the current garage and rebuild it, basically.
Okay.
Same footprint.
So will it be used as a garage or it's just an accessory structure?
Right now I use it as an office, actually. It's an office and storage.
Sorry, what was that?
It's used as an office, my home office, and for storage.
And then will it be used as a garage with the addition or the redesign?
That downstairs will still be an office, opened up to the pool, so kind of a pool house office setup. And then upstairs will be a bedroom suite with no kitchen.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing no one, you still have rebuttal time if you'd like to use it.
Unless there are any other specific questions from the board, we would just respectfully request your approval, and we think this is a justifiable request. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question,
Oh, I'm
sorry,
sorry, go
before we
ahead.
close it. This wasn't mentioned, but I don't know the distance between the back of the home and this proposed structure, but is there any intention of connecting the two, or how far apart are they? I can't see the measurements.
I know they meet the minimum eve-to-eve separation between an accessory and a principal structure. I believe, let me see if I can go back to the site plan. It's, well over that 5 feet.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
And the
that's a very
distance?
good point. Yes, if we connected it, then they would have to meet the principal setback, so no.
I'm just trying to see that measurement too. I can't tell. It looks like it's significant where it says it's brick.
Yeah, there's some hardscaping, because the driveway actually, this is all the driveway kind of hardscaping area, so you can see they have ample area to park cars as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to close the public hearing and hear from the board.
Are these, oh, I have a question.
Oh, I'm
Are
so sorry.
It's okay. Are these the only pictures you have of the property?
Yes,
Oh, and this is the existing, oh, okay.
yes, that's right.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay. We have any further discussion or ready for a motion? I think we closed it. Did I not? I'm sorry.
In that case, I would like to make a motion. I move that the variance request for case VRB 25-93 for property located at 3616 West Obispo Street be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a increase in accessory structure height from 15 feet to 27 feet based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code. Specifically that to increase square footage on this piece of property, there is no other place to do it. It has to be improving upon the existing structure, even if that is demolishing and moving vertical. Thankfully, there are no tree issues, and this is in character with the home and neighborhood, and since it's not increasing the footprint, there should be no additional safety or welfare issues.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed likewise? Okay, your motion passes 6-0.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda is VRB-25-94. The owner is Michael Brackett. The applicant is Angela Gruber. The property address is 3917 West Euclid Avenue. The zoning is residential single-family RS60. The requests before you today are a request to reduce the rear yard setback from 3 feet to 2 feet for an accessory structure, a request to reduce the eave-to-eave separation from 5 feet to 3 feet between an accessory structure and a principal structure, and then a third request to allow 2 portable accessory structures on site. By code, you're only allowed to have 1 movable accessory structure. The code section of reference is section 27-290, schedule of area, height, bulk, and placement regulations of accessory structures, 60 feet from the front, 3 feet from the rear, 3 feet from the sides, and then an eave-to-eave separation of 5 feet. The previous action is BLD-24-0505-761, which was a pool permit. This is the site in question, is highlighted here in red. This is a close-up of the property, showing the pool here on the side, and then the 2 sheds that are 2 feet from the property line and 3 feet eave to eave. And then the sheds are 10 feet by 11 feet, so 110 square feet.
It's 110 square feet each?
Correct. So for a total of 220. This is a close-up of the sheds, showing the eave-to-eave separation of the sheds at 3 feet and not the 5. They do meet the separation from the principal to the shed. That eave-to-eave separation is there. Natural Resources has no objections. The sheds have been installed on grade. At the time of construction, additional Natural Resources requests can be made to ensure all other applicable sections of the Chapter 27 and the City of Tampa Tree and Landscape Manual are met.
You okay?
Transportation, wastewater, water, right-of-way had no objections. Stormwater had objections due to the coverage, and that will have to be addressed at the time of permitting. And TICO has no objections with conditions and to see the TICO memo. This is their criteria under 2780 for the Variance Review Board. And I'll be available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Angela Halber with Hillward Henderson, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, representing the applicant who is also here, Michael Burkett.
I'm waiting
We
for you to
have
say.
been sworn.
Thank you.
Yes. So again, just kind of wanted to show you an image of the site. The property is located on the corner, and it is, I want to start kind of with a photograph that shows the actual property, because I think this is important. The property is designed, it is a home that was built in 1950, it's existing. And it does accommodate a large portion of the site because of the way it's oriented towards the corner, so that the corner actually becomes the kind of the feature. Instead of being fronted on to front one street or the other, either Euclid or Grady, it's designed to accommodate that corner. And your front view of the home is actually from the corner. During the recent renovations, the applicant has really kind of played that up with paint and with improvements that have showcased that corner orientation. That said, the property, when it was designed back in 1950 on this corner lot, it was a modified L shape, and it had a pool that was put over to the side of the property. That pool was subsequently filled. This applicant, after purchasing the property, rebuilt a pool in that space. And so as you can see, the front yard area is at this corner. The house is set back. It meets the applicable setbacks. And when it came time to kind of modernize and expand the house to meet kind of modern needs, instead of rebuilding the entire house or demolishing or changing the character of the existing 1950 mid-century home, the idea was to put the portable storage in its place. The size of those two portable storage is below what's typically required to obtain a building permit in the city of Tampa. And for that reason, nothing triggered a need to apply for a building permit. And that's why we're here today, because now we've learned that we need to have a variance to accommodate this. And the need for the variance is because it's 3 feet, the setback would be 3 feet instead of 2 feet, which is what we're requesting. And then we also have the requests for the 5 foot, 3 foot eve to eve separation, and then the request to allow 2 instead of 1 portable accessory structure. Again, I think we could have an accessory structure that is a similar size if it was 1 unit. Instead, we're asking for 2. Again, that size, the size is within the limits that would be allowed for accessory structure. And again, this is the only place on the lot where it makes sense to have these portable accessory structures. The conditions were not self-created. The existing home has been there since 1950. It has not been expanded. It has not been changed in any way by this applicant. The layout of the lot and the orientation of the home predates the applicant's purchase of the home. And then the orientation does not interfere with any of the other properties that are on the street. We did do kind of a drive-through of the neighborhood, and there are many, many accessory structures that are located in this neighborhood that are visible from the street. And one thing that I believe is important to point out is that these accessory structures are in line with the existing home, and they are placed in a place that is the least visible and the least intrusive to the neighbors. It's also the only place that's available on the lot for the placement of accessory structures. And with that, unless you have questions, we humbly request that you grant approval of these structures and our variance request.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
It does.
Okay, questions from the board?
Do you have any photos of the units?
I'm sorry, everything.
Photos of the units.
I do on my phone.
We have, do we have any from the application?
There's some in the packet. The packet was sent to us.
We did submit some through Acela, I believe, of the units themselves, but I don't think I have any printed tonight.
These are tough sheds?
These are tough
Yeah,
sheds,
okay.
yes, sir.
For a second.
that's not the best image, yes, that's a better, that's the one I was thinking of.
So there's two of those side by side?
Yes.
How did you get those back? Did you build those?
Yes, I ordered those from Tough Shed.
Oh.
And forgive me, is this a residential structure? It's a residential structure, is that correct? Or was it previously used as a business?
No,
The,
it's right.
the home itself
It's
is,
just always been
it
a
is a
house.
home, it is a home.
Sorry, when we saw the corner angle, and that's why I wanted to ask, it almost looked like it could have been a business. And this is a question for Steven. Impervious surface ratio, would that be addressed by the city at any point outside of this?
Yeah, so
for
that
the
is
lot?
correct. So with these structures being under, like, say, under permitting size, if they don't need this through a building review, they will have to address it either through code enforcement action or something along those lines. So that impervious ratio will be met, one way or another, even if it's not attached directly to this shed
Okay,
issue. So the case in front of you will just be for the shed placement and the separation. It will not waive any of those other requirements.
thank you.
And because you asked the question about the use, I just want to be clear that, I can't do that at the same time, so I'm not going to. That the, okay. The primary structure on the property is a residential structure, and the portable accessory structures are for storage. They are not going to be used as any sort of residential use.
Where do they sit relative to this photo?
In this photo, they are directly at the rear of the property.
Okay. And that building next to you that's 2 stories that has a wayward window there, is that a residential?
That is a residential structure as well.
Okay.
Yes.
They just built that.
That is a new construction home. And so that, actually, I like that photo for these purposes because it shows you the scale of what people are rebuilding in the neighborhood. And I believe this applicant has done a great job with an existing home and bringing it back to life.
Thank you. Any more questions from the board? Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Oh,
For where those structures back up to the fence, assume there's a neighboring property back there. How close are they to the fence? I've got to be really close.
Like 2.5 feet.
2.5 feet
Yeah,
to the
you're
fence?
saying, you're talking about the neighbor, right?
Right,
Next-
so the
okay.
neighbor behind you down Grady.
Yes, and I know the neighbors, and they told me they're totally fine with the sheds.
Right,
Like
and so that's
everybody.
their fence then?
Yes.
Gotcha, so that's why it gives you the extra half foot. So you can get around them. I'm just concerned that,
Yes.
again,
You
know,
can
when-
get
when you're
around
close
it.
to these properties, if something catches on fire inside that shed, can we get over there and put the fire out? Or do we have to let the whole thing burn down and burn the fence down and burn the neighbor's house down and all that kind of stuff? So
Yeah,
we want to make sure it's safe where
Yes.
they're located. That's why these setbacks are there.
right, okay.
well, the pool is gone, so that kind of,
No, the
Oh,
pool
the
is
pool's
there.
there.
The pool is
They put a
there,
new
the pool
pool
is
in.
there.
okay, my
Yes.
apologies.
Yeah.
There's
And a lanai.
it's a very tight lot. With
Yeah,
the
it's
pool,
very tight.
The pool and the cage.
There's no
and-
backyard.
All right.
There's nothing.
Right, the original footprint of the home and the pool is intact. And so there's been no change to that since 1950. The pool was not there for a while, but it's there again. And it was put back in the same location.
So the pervious to impervious ratio is gonna be an issue?
But that's not.
I know that's not up to us, but, okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I kind of veered off here with the questions. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing no one, you're welcome to rebut, but,
I would just point out that the front yard space is considerable on this property. So that is a difference because it is a corner orientation. So we believe that may accommodate some of the impervious to pervious ratio.
okay, thank you.
Again, not for this, but
Okay, we'll close the public hearing and hear from the board.
You know it's a tough one because the way that it is laid out,
Yeah.
there is nowhere to put a storage unit.
None.
Unless you
Right.
build something skinnier and longer to try to meet and match, and, you know, that is definitely a hardship for the existing structure on the lot. You know, it sounds like there is space to get around, so hopefully if there is an issue, firefighters and whomever can get around there to solve it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I, logistically, I understand it, but looking at some of those photos, it's very tight. And I think it would be, you know, not worth putting that into the record here right now, that it looks tight. So even though there is no other location to put them, they're very close to the fence, and
Congested is a good word.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
it's
congested back there.
But I mean, code allows them to have the 10 by 12,
One of them.
one of them,
Correct.
not two, but
Mhm.
allows them to have one of them.
Mhm.
He would have had to pull a permit to build those two put together. There's just no space, and, you know, truthfully, the difference between 2 feet and 3 feet from an emergency perspective ain't much.
No.
So, I mean, I don't think a foot's gonna truly make that big of a difference. I don't have a problem with it. There's no space, and I get it. These are odd lots, and they push houses all the way to the back of them, and, you know, I don't have a problem with it
That's a
myself.
corner lot.
It's right.
I like the fact that they've kept the old house, they've rehabbed it, it looks beautiful, looked at some old shots of
Yes.
it, and it's way overgrown, and now it looks beautiful and redone, and
So I have a question, it might be for staff, and I apologize if we move past that section of the hearing, but in the future, so suppose, you know, would the setback in the rear yard always stay 2 feet, or it still would be dependent on the site plan, is that correct?
It would be tied to this site plan.
If he wanted to switch those sheds for something else, it would require a new variance.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that, because what we're looking at is very specific to what we're seeing, and what we're debating is very specific to what we're seeing. I would hate to have some other type of alteration here that would be longer lasting, that would outlive the house that's currently on the lot, so.
Yeah, so the variance would be tied to the two 11 by 12 sheds, right? I think
10 by 11, okay.
Sheds that are on site at this time that are presented on the site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks. So, ready for a motion?
Yeah. I move that variance. Pardon me. I move that variance request for case VRB 25-94 for the property located at 3917 West Euclid Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a request to reduce the rear yard setback from 3 foot to 2 foot, request to reduce the eve-to-eve separation from 5 foot to 3 foot, and the request to allow 2 portable accessory structures upon the site. Upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that, again, this is a corner lot. The home is moved far back to the rear of the property with no space really for any other area to add storage on this lot.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise? Okay, so it's 5-1. Thank you.
We're ready. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
One of those looks just like that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next case, thank you. We're getting there.
All right, the next item on the agenda is
Three more.
VRB 26-01. This is a map of the site showing the lot here along West Mohawk.
Ouch, sorry.
Sorry, there's a slide missing. So the applicant of the site for this application is Maria and Romeo Drafting. The location is 1011 West Mohawk Avenue. The zoning is residential, single-family, RS50. There are 2 requests for the site. Reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 14 feet for a solid roof covered patio, and reduce the side yard setback from 7 feet to 2.1 feet. The code section of reference is 27-156, bulk placement regulations for the RS50 district setbacks, which are 20 feet in the front, 20 feet in the rear, and 7 feet on the sides. This is a site plan of showing the current conditions of the lot. Just to kind of make it clear for the board, the property line runs this way, along where my mouse is, then jogs out to here, and then down L2, and then widens back out, and then comes across the back, and then angles towards the front, and then back across Mohawk. I know there's a lot of like pervious and residential things going on here. And then first, we're gonna zoom into the cover. This is a solid cover in the rear portion of the house. It is currently 14.7 feet off the property line. And then this was a unpermitted addition off the side of the house, which is 5.5 feet in the front and 2.1 foot in the rear corner. Natural Resources had no objections. There are some palms located within some of the improvement areas. They require a 3-foot protective radius. The palms seem to be they are healthy after the unpermitted work. Transportation, wastewater, water, right-of-way, stormwater have no objections, and TICO had no objections with conditions. This is the criteria under 27-80 for the Variance Review Board. And then I'm available for any comments, questions, or concerns. Real quick before I sit back down. Because of the uniqueness of the property, I do want to show photos that were submitted to the record. This is the addition off the side here. As you can see, the property is elevated on almost like a stem wall, and then it's elevated and built on top of that. And then this is the rear lanai structure that is an open air patio with a solid roof. And then here's another photo of the unpermitted addition with the 5-foot separation here that reduces back to 2.1 in the back corner. And then this is an overall view of the front, showing the kind of the improvements and the stem wall and the original steps that were to get to the house. And then these were new steps that kind of triggered this whole situation to come forward with the code enforcement violation.
What did you just say? Can you say that again?
So the construction of these steps off to the right-hand side were called in as a violation, and that's when this was observed, the addition off the side. And then as a way to remediate the existing covered lanai in the rear, they added that request to the variance as well, because they were notified by zoning staff during the pre-application meeting that that was not built to standards prior to them owning the structure. So it's two separate things going on. And then,
Sorry, so 2 separate issues that triggered the one variance?
so that's why it has the 2 separate requests. The original request that came forward through the code enforcement violation was the reduction in the side yard from 7 feet to 2.1 feet. And then the existing covered lanai was there before they purchased the house.
Okay.
And that is not under subject of code enforcement violation. They just wanted to resolve all issues if they had the opportunity.
Gotcha.
Okay, and I'll be available for any questions, comments, or concerns.
I'm sure we will have some. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria Rezabala, and I have been sworn in. I'm the owner of the property located at 1011 West Mohawk Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33603. I was born and raised in Tampa, and I have a deep love for this city and this community. For the past 20 years, I've proudly served as a high school teacher at my alma mater, Hillsborough High School. My partner and I are raising 5 children together, and here in Tampa, because we believe that Tampa is the ideal place for our family to grow and thrive. Our goal is to remain in our current neighborhood and make our home comfortable enough to accommodate our family's needs. This is why we chose to expand our home. Unfortunately, as first-time remodelers, we unknowingly proceeded without obtaining proper permits or variance. And I wanted to make sure I mentioned that there was a structure there prior to, and so we didn't think we thought we were just improving what was already there. So I guess that structure wasn't permitted originally. So I sincerely regret this oversight and take full responsibility. My actions were not intentional. They stemmed from a lack of knowledge, and I now fully understand the importance of following the correct procedures. So as was mentioned, I'm petitioning for a variance to address the following: the side setback to reduce from 7 feet to 2.1 feet. The fence that we have there can be removed, so we can go through. There is a tree that I'm sure you could see in the site plan, and if we need to remove that, we will definitely do that. The addition on the right side of the home currently sits at 2.5 from the property line at the front, and 2.1 towards the rear due to the lot's very irregular shape. And then the rear setback, as was mentioned, from 20 feet to 14.7 feet. The covered patio or lanai was there before. My parents originally purchased the home, and then they grandfathered it to me, and it was there already before they even purchased the home. This addition was designed to maintain the original style and character of the home. We were attempting to preserve the architectural integrity of the neighborhood. The proximity to the property line was not intentional. It resulted from, again, the unique angle and shape of the lot. Importantly, the addition does not encroach on neighboring properties and poses no negative impact on health, safety, or the enjoyment of adjacent parcels. When the lot was originally subdivided, its irregular configuration placed the home at a strange angle, creating challenges for expansion. Granting this variance would not confer special privileges, but would allow us to continue honoring the neighborhood's character while meeting our family's needs. So we respectfully request your consideration and approval for this variance. Our intent was always to preserve the home style. That's why we didn't go back. We kept it in the front because there was already something there, so we figured it made sense to just make it look nice and uniform in the front. And I do have a couple pictures, but they're pretty much the same ones that were shown. So that picture, I think, was already shown earlier. Okay, so you could see there is space. You can walk right through there. We could take down, we do have a fence there because we have dogs. You could take that down and walk through. Yeah, so I mean, I don't see the need to show too many on the back. Again, the backyard does have an irregular shape too along the fence. But we did, when we put up the vinyl fence, we put it into our property. We didn't, we did ask, I think, one of the neighbors behind us if they wanted to, replace the fence with us, and we got no response. So we just put it right into our property. So that's that. So I don't have anything else.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions from the board?
Ma'am, can you put the picture back up of the house, please?
Fine.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so there's a couple things we're dealing with, obviously. So this addition right here is the one with the single window with the grids, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When was that put on the house?
Last year in July.
Okay.
June, sorry.
And So, but when you added that to the house, was there anything there previous?
Yeah, and there was a fence in front of it, so it went unnoticed.
Okay, what was that?
It was like it was a closet. It was a big closet, and so we just wanted to make it better by adding a window, making it more appealing to the
Okay,
front of the
so
house.
the footprint of the home, that already existed?
I don't think originally. I think that was built after.
Okay, so my question is, that piece right there, was that existing before July of 2024?
No,
Not at all?
no.
You said there was a
There
closet.
was a closet there. So we tore down the closet and made it, our objective was to just make it better, and we didn't know that we needed a permit for that.
But did anything jut out from the house?
No, like there was like you see where, like right here in front,
Uh-huh.
there was a fence that went all the way across.
Okay.
So, and then right behind it was the closet that served for the 2 bedrooms that connects to.
There was something there.
Yeah,
There
but-
was a footprint.
Yeah, but again, it's not gonna be on a blueprint, because we try to find it and it.
Right, right.
wasn't,
Well, what I'm trying to establish is so this wasn't fully added on to the home.
Correct.
There was something, was there a roof there already?
Yeah.
So that roof that's there right now, is that new or was that already there?
I think, did Miguel? You did.
Le-
Raise your hand.
Were you sworn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you sure? You were sworn?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can come up to the podium. You just have to state your name and your address, please.
My name is Danny Olivera, and I'm 101 West Mohawk Avenue, Tampa, Florida. So, as she said, that structure was like a walk-in closet that they built there. So all we did was take the fence off, you know.
Okay.
And we did some improvements on the roof just to make it more, you know, like the structure stronger. But that basically structure was there.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to establish, right?
Yes.
Because, you know, what's being presented to us there was an addition, right? And there was in one case, but in another case, that was there.
Right, so.
You improved it, correct?
Yes, yes.
But it was part of the home?
Yes, it was part of the home.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
Thank you.
What year did you purchase the house or get it?
Originally,
No, what year did you get it, that became your house, not your parents'?
okay, I want to say 2022.
And to clarify, that closet or whatever addition, the footprint that was already there, that was on when you purchased the house from your parents?
Any other questions?
Yeah, so, with the improvements that were placed to that, what we're calling the addition, a new roof wasn't put in, a roof existed, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like the roof line didn't change. Okay, and then the impervious cover in the back, I'm assuming that, how long has that been back there? Was that back?
The house was built in 1965, so it's been there. I don't know exactly when, but I don't know if you could tell on age on that picture, but
Yeah.
Yes.
we've talked about making it better too.
Yeah, those are Sears and Roebuck. No, they are. That's who went around these neighborhoods selling those things.
Yeah.
That's why you
Yeah.
moved to them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been there for.
And again, I do want to say, we have learned a lot through this process, and as you heard earlier, we do have 5 kids, and we want to expand more, and now we know what we got to do to make it correct, you know, so, again, we take responsibility, but, you know, we really do hope that you grant this variance.
Well, hopefully our staff has helped you along the
Oh,
way.
yeah, good, tremendously.
Okay. Any further questions from the board?
The variance to the rear, and this might be for staff, for the reduction in the rear yard setback to the 14.7. The site plan is very clear that that's just a cover. So to reduce the setback for a cover, right, not for an additional structure back there.
That's,
If that would be the case, they would need to come back for another variance. Is that how that would work?
that is correct. It would be similar to when you guys do the rear porches, when you condition it that the space will never be enclosed.
Would
So
we
you-
need to put a condition on today's?
To cover all the bases, if you would like.
Okay.
Just so it's not just an overall rear yard setback reduction.
Okay, and would the applicant be okay with that if there was an approval of your rear yard, that it be conditioned on the fact that it was just for this cover, not for the space to be intended to be enclosed?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions? Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Please come forward. Okay, we can take care of that.
Is this yours? Oh, yeah.
Good evening. I am Charlene Diaz-Williams, the neighbor. I own the property right next door.
What's your address?
1009 West Mohawk Avenue. Some of what she said, and I'm not sure, when the person that I met that purchased the property was not her. And when the lady purchased the property, I explained to her that there was already a discrepancy about the property line, and that I hoped that we could, get together and address it, which never happened. When I saw her again over there, she told me that her daughter was gonna be living there, not her, and that I could speak to her about it. Nothing ever happened. Some of what she says is true. The structure that's behind the house, that patio, that was there. However, that part on the side closest to my house where you see the new wood, that is all new. I was there. They cut a hole in the side of the house and built that. And what they're leaving out is that they placed a sign out front, like a fabric sign, because he was using it as a barber shop. And they did have the turnstile, like the old days for the barber shop there. So there's traffic going there. And if you look at the pictures, which I don't have, I've never had to deal with this before, that backs right up to the living room and the porch, which is just on the other side of that fence, that wooden fence that they put up, which clearly is new because it wasn't there. The patio that they showed out front, that's new too. There was only a strip of grass across the front of that house. Now, my concerns are my property, it wasn't addressed in the beginning, and not only is the barber shop encroaching, but when they moved, the reason why they probably didn't go further back is because the property goes over at an angle in the back. And they put an above-ground pool back there, which partially encroaches on the back end of my property. We've never had a discussion about, what would be okay and not okay, whether we could work together or not. It was just done with no consideration of my 7-year-old granddaughter next door and the traffic that would be coming in and out. Also, our street, Mohawk, runs from Hillsborough there's Forest Hills Road that comes into a curve. And it runs straight into the river, Hillsborough River, and you can go around again and go back out to Hillsborough. People use that street as a shortcut. There's traffic, the parking that we have is in the driveways. The people who use the barber shop, they park along the street. So people coming through there, that's more traffic and more danger for the kids and people in the neighborhood and our vehicles or trash, the mailboxes. So we haven't, like I said, we haven't had any issues, but we also haven't had any conversations. There's been no consideration, and you guys haven't gotten the truth. There was no barbershop mentioned, so I just wanted to share the facts with you all so that a fair decision could be made, for all of us, because I am concerned about my 7-year-old granddaughter and the traffic that would be, we just don't know these people, and I want to make sure that, everybody's safe, especially her. So,
Thank you.
thank you for the opportunity.
Am I permitted to rebuttal?
You have time to rebut,
Okay.
yes.
So I do remember my mom having a conversation, and then my mom apparently handled calling in to find the property lines, and they were what they were. So yes, we had an overground pool in the back, but it's in our property. It's not on anybody else's property. And the one we have now, we can tear down because it's one of those best way ones. Danny does cut hair on the side, and we do occasionally have cars, but we do encourage people to, park on the driveway and whatnot. She doesn't live next door, her son lives next door, and her son fixes cars in his driveway, so there's cars all up in there too. So I'm more concerned about those cars impacting her granddaughter than Danny's, because that's in our driveway, and we're not blocking hers in any way. So, yeah, I did want to mention those things. Again, my mom did tell me that she did go and found the site plans, and that's what it drew up, and since it was what it was, we left it as is. Okay, and then she doesn't live there, so, ever since we decided to make the changes, we've cordially chatted with her son. I even gave him a letter before I had to mail out my letters, and it was totally an informal letter, asking if they were okay with it, and he said he would talk to her or to get her to contact me, and I didn't hear anything from her, so.
Okay. Where does that pool sit on here? I'm not seeing it on the site. Am I missing
It's an
something?
above
It's an above-ground Bestway pool. It's right behind the house on the right side. If I pull up the site plan.
While she's looking at that, can I just make?
Hold on, please.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now, that pool is gonna go away soon because our kids are outgrowing it, but we did have it for a while until so if we look back here in the backyard, it's right here.
Okay.
Move it
And
down a little bit.
Someone here.
Move your,
Move it.
yeah, there we go.
There we
Sorry,
go.
it's
Okay.
right here.
Okay.
Okay, and, you could walk all around it, it's not encroaching on her property based on the lines that are currently drawn.
Okay. Thank you. You still have more time if you want to add anything.
It makes me sad that, that we're being, I guess, highlighted in this way, but just rest assured, I understand that it's our responsibility to get permits and to get approval for things, so I understand that. But we are trying to make it right, you know, so the request to reduce the back to what we requested to 14.7 and the side to 2.1, I think is fair so we can, you know, accommodate what we're trying to accomplish in our home. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
And to confirm what you said earlier, there was a structure in that location when you purchased the home.
There was, well, I don't know if my parents built it or what, but it was there, yeah.
When you purchased the home,
Yeah.
there was a structure.
It was a walk-in closet.
So your parents owned the home before you? And you bought it from them? It was deeded to you?
My dad deeded to me when I got divorced in 2021,
Okay.
or 2022.
Any further questions?
Do you know how long your parents owned it?
My oldest son was 4. He was born in 2010. So 2014 is when they purchased it, I believe.
Okay. And this is a recent survey, obviously, with the addition, and it looks like there's the existing fence that goes along by the addition, and it says it's about 1.1 feet on your property.
Yeah.
Away from the neighboring property.
Yes.
And it comes very close to that corner of the addition, but that corner of the addition is also the 2.1 feet from the property. So your fence is well on your property, along that whole property line. That's what it looks like to me.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
When was this survey done? Do you know?
We had a big ordeal with surveys. I think that one's the most recent one.
But you had this done?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, this shows the property line, right? And it looks like, yeah, I mean, it shows the property line. It shows that your fence is actually mostly inside your property line. Yeah, am I reading that right? Yep. Except
I
at the
think so,
top.
too.
At the north side, it's a very small portion of, but it's inside your property line, the fence is, according to the survey. And, I mean, though we're not here to discuss the pool, unless your pool is over 37 feet wide.
No, it's one of those that you can take apart like
Yeah, that's what I
5
think. Okay,
seconds.
so that's, okay. Okay.
All right. No further questions? We'll close public hearing and hear from the board.
I have no problem with the variance for the impervious, or for the cover, because I just see that, as long as we condition it, I see that as really not interfering with much. I do have a little bit of heartburn about the proximity to the fence line with the addition. Given that it started as unpermitted work, even if there was something existing, it looks like there was probably maybe some expansion of existing and I think what's tough is the rear end, where it goes down to 2.1, just where it's really tight.
Two different materials.
Can I say something?
No, public hearing is closed, sorry.
Okay, it's all right.
It does create an area where there is no space to get around the home.
No.
Right.
So if there was an issue over there, it would be tough for fire service.
Right. Especially with the location of the fence. Because the fence could be further away to give it more space. It just like hugs it
How did they get in the backyard?
on the other.
I mean, because she said there was a fence here, right?
Mm-hmm.
She said there was a fence that they.
Yeah, there was a
took
fence in
down.
the front. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
think
but it
it's
must
7.5
have, it must
feet
have
on
just
the
been
other
in the
side.
front of,
So how, like,
they walked around the other way, other side of the
okay,
house.
so that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason to have one there anyway. Is it dead ends at the corner of the?
Sure, it was just a privacy fence
Yeah.
with no gate.
See,
I mean,
I guess my issue is I don't know what existed. You know, I don't know what existed, and, I mean,
so,
can I ask legal a question?
Yeah.
Hi. So we don't, we don't have access to the property appraiser's website at the moment to see what, we can't look at that because it's not in front of us, to see what the building layout is, correct?
That is
We
correct.
can't look at that.
You could assume it's not shown though.
I would assume it's not shown, unless it was added by them, because it can be. And the property appraiser, quite honest with you, does not add things based on permits. They add based on what they see, right? But we don't have access to that. So I'm just, it's just curious to me what existed there.
She said a closet.
Yeah, I've never seen a closet jut out from a house. I don't know about
Right,
you, but.
yeah, me neither.
Same, and I think what I'm having a hard time with this addition is the hardship, because I understand the existing hardship from the existing cover that seems to be, looking at it, it's been there for quite some time. The addition, I'm having a hard time rectifying the hardship for the placement and the size. And like I said, specifically when it comes to that back corner where it's now down to 2.1 feet. That seems self-imposed.
But here's my, I see where you're coming from. But if she bought this home, say it wasn't from her mother, say it was from Joe Smith, and that was there, right? She bought the home with that thing sitting there. So is she responsible for tearing it down because she bought it thinking that it was okay?
Yes.
We've never done that before.
That's how it works.
But we've never done that before. It was there when the person. Yes, we would. Precedent would say we would, because she bought the home from somebody where that exists. I mean, we talk about that all the time, things that are
Right.
existing, right? This existed, this existed, this existed, and we say that when we go into making our motion, that it was there before, it's an irregular lot, blah, 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 whatever, right? So we don't know what existed, but she is claiming something existed there when it was belonged to her parents that was deeded to her. So if we put forth a motion for her to tear it's not a self-imposed hardship in the sense that something was there, right? We just don't know what was there. She made an improvement to what was there, but we don't know what that means.
Due to that case, I would suggest that whoever decides to make a motion, that you bifurcate the case into two separate motions.
Yeah.
One for the covered rear and then one for the addition, and that way if it doesn't go which either way.
Yeah, I like that idea. I would be okay with that as long as you.
Or do we, I know this is far-fetched.
you're assuming that it would fail. So you don't want to do it.
I'm not saying that, I mean, whether it fails or passes, at least you would have two separate motions, therefore, the covered one that no one seems to have an issue with would pass.
Right, well.
And if the addition does fail here, they can go in front of city council for only the addition versus.
Yeah,
And I don't know when this was taken, but this is from
but we can't use that. We can't use that. We can't, we can't use that.
So
So,
she's under oath saying that there was a structure there.
Yes.
And they basically
Correct.
took the structure and improved that structure that was there.
right,
We have to go by.
Excuse me if I may, Board. I just wanted to point out, I understand there's a lot of conversation going on about the two witnesses that were presenting during the hearing. I just want to let you guys know that it's part of your role in order to
compare the weight of that evidence in order to determine if it fulfills that level of competent substantial evidence to either support a denial or approval today. So I just wanted to remind you of that part of the role of this board, as well as to determine the quality of that competent substantial evidence that comes before you guys, if it meets that criteria.
I appreciate that, because I think what essentially we're saying, without saying it, is that we don't have the competent substantial evidence to validate what we feel is the hardship, or at least the criteria that needs to be met to find or to make a decision on at least one of these requests. At least that's how I'm looking at it tonight. But I would bifurcate the two variances and at least allow, one to not stop or hold up the other.
So is one of them a continuance, or is it a flat out whatever we vote on?
No, and you would need to get approval of the said motion. So say if you moved for approval and the approval of the addition doesn't pass, then you would need another person would make the motion for denial, and then that would pass.
Yeah.
Unless it gets a split vote.
Yeah, okay.
Or if you made a motion for both of them and it failed, then you could bifurcate it and do that.
That's why I'm gonna say it's definitely worth bifurcating.
I'm not opposed to that.
Sure. Well, if you guys are okay with moving forward, I can make one of the motions.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You might as well make both and see what happens.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna make one, so I'll try and be very specific as to how this goes forward.
Okay.
I move that the variance request for case VRB 26-01 for property located at 1011 West Mohawk Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a request to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 14.7 feet based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence,
With the following conditions.
with the following conditions, that the condition being that the structure that is noted as the covered area not be filled in to usable living space, and it never be enclosed, and that said variance as condition be granted based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that this structure has been on the property. It appears to predate the ownership, the current ownership, as well as the prior ownership, dating back to 2014. And that's the end of the first motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll call a question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, then that part passes.
Okay, moving on to the second portion. I move that the variance request for case VRB 26-01 for the property located at 1011 Mohawk Ave for a request to reduce the side yard setback from 7 feet to 2.1 feet be denied due to the failure of the petitioner to meet its burden of proof to provide competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that the addition's placement is very close to the fence and provides for some difficulty with traversing from the front yard to the backyard, and some of the dangers included by the proximity to the property line.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion?
I have a hard time supporting that just from the pure fact that we're asking someone that took a house from that inherited or bought a house, but it was previous hardship, is grandfathered, and we've had precedent
I agree with
all
100%.
So we have a motion, we have a second, let's, take the vote. If it doesn't
Well, we're
pass,
still
it has to be-
discussing it,
has to
which
be
is
discussed.
okay.
We're discussing.
I just, that's not,
can't vote.
that's not a fair position for us to take on someone that's got a house that has it that way and tell her to
Okay.
tear apart of it.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay, call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Does not pass.
It's 3-3.
Oh, 3-3.
Yes, sir.
I saw, I thought you were, okay.
I'm allowed to
So-
vote.
so
I'm not allowed to make the motion, but I am allowed to vote.
What do we do?
What
We're
do
at
we
a tie.
do?
It
It's a
doesn't carry.
tie.
That doesn't carry.
It gets continued.
It's not approved.
So if there's not a clear majority for a denial or approval, then the motion does not pass.
That's that.
And that's that.
Well, no, there's not, well, that motion, well, we have to,
That motion,
No, that means,
Motion
we're,
doesn't
we're
pass.
hung, even if you switch it to the other side, it's still not gonna happen.
It still, it just still sits there.
City council's problem.
It's now city council's problem.
okay, all right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
No, hadn't had one of those in a long time.
You okay over there?
Yeah, yeah.
You like? Yeah.
yeah.
I've been, how long have I been here now? 3 years, 2? I don't know how long, but I've never had that.
For some reason, I thought it
You've had
continued.
them that don't pass before.
Yeah, I thought it
It will,
continued.
I thought it continued as well.
To clarify the board's questions about the tie vote, when the new rules and procedures were voted in, that was one of the changes to keep tie votes from progressing forwards through hearing after hearing after hearing,
Okay,
or rolling the dice to hope that like, hey, Aaron denied it this time, maybe next month he won't be here. To kind of eliminate that, we based it off of the vote of the current members at the hearing, and a tie vote does not carry. And it is
okay.
So what does happen next? It is city council?
It is denied, and they can appeal it to city council if
It
they,
is considered denied.
correct. And they can appeal it if they would
Gotcha.
like to,
All
within
right,
their
thank you.
14-day window. All right. The
Next
next item
case.
on the agenda is VRB-26-03. The owner is Douglas Manson. The address is 2308 South Lila Lane. The zoning is RS 75, and the request is to reduce the corner yard setback from 15 feet to 3 feet. The section in reference is 27-156, table 4-2, schedule of area, height, bulk, and placement regulations. RS 75 district setbacks are 25 feet from the front, 20 feet from the rear, 7 feet on the sides, and 15 feet on the corner. This is the property in question. This is South Lila here. It goes this, and then it curves around, and then continues out this way. It transitions to South Trask at this joint right here.
Okay,
And then so Lila dead ends right past the house, and then goes off to a driveway to this house,
Sorry.
and off to the driveway of the applicant's house. This is the area highlighted in blue. So there is a there is a garage there currently, and they're looking to expand on the garage into the corner setback. This is a close-up showing the 3-foot setback off the corner. This line forward is the right-of-way, along with some additional utilities and things like that. And then it does come in from the side, and then you turn into the garage. Natural Resources had no objections. At the time of construction, additional natural resources changes and requests can be made to ensure all other applicable sections of Chapter 27 of the City of Tampa Code and City of Tampa Tree and Landscape Technical Manual are met. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Transportation, wastewater, water, right-of-way, stormwater, all had no objections. And TECO had no objections with conditions. And this is the criteria for the Variance Review Board under 2780. And I'll be available for any comments, questions, or concerns. And you had a PowerPoint as well, correct? There we go.
Can I advance it with a space bar?
Yep, or that either way.
Okay. I'm Doug Manson. I live at 23, well, I used to live at 2308 South Lila Lane, and I have been sworn in. And this is my home and my wife's home. This is my wife, Sarah, my son, Joe. And this is John Sample, who is our builder and rebuilding the house. With the location, we were just gonna go show you where we are. You've got a good picture of it. You see that 2308 South Lila Lane is there. What you see behind these little brick area there is the driveway. This is an alley where Lila does end, where Trask ends as well. And that's an alley that goes back. That's currently where we would back out. Why are we here? Because we're one block off of West Shore to the east. Helene flooded our home. You can see the lines on the back. My wife and I made the decision that although we'd been living there 27 years, it never flooded. It did, and now it's different. We don't want to live in the threat of being flooded. So we're going to elevate the house and go 12 feet up. In the neighborhood, you can already see, we're just pointing them out, and I'll go through these slides quickly for you. It's already been transitioning to these homes that are elevated, these new homes. And these are just the ones that are there on Lila. Lila's only has 12 houses on it. 4 of them have already been redone before the flood. And then there's 2 close by as well. So all these are larger homes, 2-story, and they have large garages. Unlike, we have a lot of neighbor support. So these are the list of our neighbors. Each one of those check marks are on the houses where they've sent in letters of support for us. And we've submitted those onto the portal as well. And then we have the actual original letters with us. This is just copies of the letters on this slide, 13 in total. Our neighbors in this area are fantastic throughout the flood and our support of helping us in this. I mean, it was amazing how everybody responded. Our house is at 6.5 feet, and the idea is to raise the house up. And one of those things is where we are able to save the pool and the patio area. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is quite a bit. In order to do that, the garage is going to have to move a little bit further out toward the street. What we're showing right now is the existing garage is already, your setback used to be 12 feet. So a long time ago, we got a variance to move the garage out 3 feet. So if you look now, the existing south roof line is already closer, within the 15 feet. It's about 6 feet in. And what we're doing is we're moving it about 6 feet more. And like I said, we obviously discussed that with the neighbors. We put this together just to be able to show you, I think more clearly, I hope. The existing garage is 8.82 feet from the property line, and that property line is a right-of-way of the city of Tampa. But if you went out and looked, which you'll see a photo in a minute, it looks like our yard. It's got grass on it, it's got shrubs. And then the new garage is going out further, but the new house is coming in. The new house will be 15 feet off the road, and from the right-of-way. And the current house line is 12.56 feet from it. This is a picture from the back. You can see a little fire hydrant in the drain, and this is the 12 feet of right-of-way that the city of Tampa has that we use as the yard, and that's where the current garage is located. One of the issues that we have is, to reconfigure the garage. If we tried to go to the side garage, it's a corner lot. We've got a transformer, a TECO transformer, and a fire hydrant there. We can't move the garage toward the pool and patio because that's the only thing that we're leaving on the property. Everything else is going to be torn down and then rebuilt up. And in the front of the property, we've got 2 beautiful oaks. And it's part of what drew us to this neighborhood is all the oak trees that you saw from the aerial. So we don't want to put it on the front. We want to leave those oaks in place and pretty much follow the footprint we have of the home where it's located and go obviously 2 stories up, starting with the ground floor at 12 feet. That's the end of my presentation. I tried to get through it quickly. I know the night's been long, and I thank you for your diligence and attention. If you have any questions for me or for Mr. Sample, we'll be glad to answer them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions from the board?
The current garage that you have is currently a 2-car garage, 1-car garage?
I'm sorry.
The existing garage
Yes.
that's there, was it 2-car or was it
It was
a
supposed
single
to be
car?
It's supposed to be a 3-car garage, but it was a 2-car garage, yes. It
2-car
does have, it
garage.
has 2 bays. One's larger than the other.
Gotcha.
The smaller bay, unfortunately, wasn't quite deep enough to fit a normal-sized car in.
So with the expansion of this garage out, it'll become a 3-car garage?
It will be a 3-car garage, right?
True 3 cars.
And then also, there's going to be an elevator shaft, because Although I'm sure I look very young, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, so we want to be able to have the ability to put an elevator in at the ground floor in case I need it.
All right.
Any further questions? Okay. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing none, you have rebuttal time if you want to add anything. Okay, thank you. Close the public hearing and hear from the board. I'm very familiar with this area. My daughter lives right down the street from them and had the same situation. So I feel your pain. And I'm glad you're able to stay and be able to rebuild. And I fully support the motion.
I'll do a motion.
And somebody want to make a motion? I
I'll
can.
make one.
Okay.
To also speak to I have concerns about, the hardship. I mean, we have a not terribly regular lot. Yes, it's on a corner. It already has a two-car garage. We have certain rules that we're supposed to abide by. I feel horrible about the hurricane and that the houses get flooded. I'm really happy that they're able to elevate it and make another beautiful home. But, we're gonna make a variance for a 3-car garage versus a 2-car garage that already exists in its existing footprint. From the presentation, I'm not hearing the specific hardship that makes this variance a necessity.
Well, it is a corner lot, so it's an unusual situation in that sense.
I understand too. And there's no trees or anything in the side to obstruct.
Okay.
Though we do appreciate the saving of the trees in the front yard.
I mean, the applicant will still have time for rebuttal, so don't think I'm cutting you off at the knees. But, I do want to hear some additional hardship. I see, the fire hydrant and the transformer, which would keep it from being accessed from Live Lane. It has to come in from the alleyway, which it already does successfully, into a good-sized garage. I think I just need some more information on why there is a hardship for this house on this lot, why it can't just exist in its current footprint.
Well, I could. One of the reasons why,
We have
first
to
of all,
open
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did close.
I'll make a
it. I
motion
did
to
close
reopen
it.
the hearing.
Second.
Any objections? Okay. Go.
You can go ahead and
Speak?
talk now.
Oh, thank you. So it is a 3-car garage technically, but it's not large enough to be able to, go with the garages that are going in. If you look at 2304 South Lila Lane going in, that's a 37-foot wide garage. They don't even have an elevator shaft in there. And then another house that's down there, it's also 37 feet wide. Because people are buying larger cars, they're wanting these wider garages to get their cars in there. In addition, we need to be able to make our house as marketable as those houses for the day when we sell that they're putting in there. So yes, it's only a few more feet. It doesn't disrupt the neighborhood. And the hardship is we can't put the right size garage there due to the configuration of the transformer, the fire hydrant, the 2 trees, or else we would have come up with a different configuration. We looked at several. So the idea would be I need the garage, the 3-car garage, which I presently have technically, 2-car garage door with a 1-car garage door, but it's not large enough. From living there, we found that out. So we're trying to make it bigger so the garage will be marketable, so it'll be usable by us, and there'll be room for the elevator shaft, because that's the only ground floor entrance to the place where you won't have to walk upstairs. I think that speaks to hardship.
Well, but it has to fall within the criteria listed.
I'm sorry?
It has to fall within the 5 hardship criteria that are listed by the city of Tampa. And that having a big car is not a hardship, unfortunately.
Oh, I understand the big
Okay.
car is an hardship, but the big car isn't the reason why I had to make it wider.
Yeah,
It was the elevator.
marketability
It's the
isn't
elevator
either.
shaft.
I
But I'm
understand,
just-
we
I'm just
totally
trying to say-
understand, but all of
Okay. I'm
things
just saying
that
the
a lot of
character
folks
the
think are hardships are simply not,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
That was more of the argument of this character
Sure.
of the neighborhood. You're right.
So would
Well, thank you.
the irregular shaped lot not be would it be a corner lot, would that not be the hardship piece of it?
I think it is.
Could be.
I think it is to a point. You know, if the irregular shape of the lot created a hardship to where there was no garage and they're required by code to have garage now for parking and that type of thing, but there already is a 2.5 car garage there. You know, to expand that far and to take a 15-foot setback and create a 3-foot setback. There's already been a variance to create the larger garage, which to be with the character with the larger homes in that area. You know, again, we're just kind of bound. We're bound by what we can do. Luckily, City Council has a little more leeway, but.
Where is the, you know, we talked about an elevator, and obviously there's an elevator shaft and some area that will be taken up by that too, so that was one of the factors to consider as well.
I'm trying to think, if you were able to, you have the advantage of being on a corner lot that it could be, actually, it's like a U corner, you got two corners, right? It's a double corner lot?
It's a yeah, it is.
And then the front is constricted by two or big oak trees, whatever they are. But the backside, if you were able to, if you could go off of South Lila and have the entrance to the garage, you could put a 3-car garage there easily. Unfortunately, there's a fire hydrant and a transformer now, which I'm assuming the transformer is probably new, in the way of being able to do that.
Now we're talking hardship.
Hey, what?
Now we're talking what?
That's a better hardship.
Okay.
Mr. Manson, how big is do you have drawings of the new house? Like, how big is the new house?
How big is the what?
The new home compared to the older home?
Oh, it'll be much larger square footage wise.
What does that mean, much larger?
So we're at 3,700 square feet of air conditioned space, and 3,200 square feet of air conditioned space, and we're gonna go to like 4,200 to 4,800 square feet. We haven't configured it. Above the garage will be, part of the house. It'll be the large room, the largest room.
And so the new home is gonna follow the 15-yard setback except for just that hatched area, correct?
Correct. And remember that the current garage is 6 feet into this, so I am only extending it 6 feet more, and there was a variance for that as well.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that the house is coming out of he's not trying to keep the house inside the zone. He's giving back that green area to exchange it for the garage, which is also a nice, he's not asking for an extension the entire length of the house.
Right.
Just the
for that
garage.
one portion.
Yeah, and I think what you were saying before, it's more of an access hardship as
Yeah.
far as I see it, so.
I'm just looking at the way Lila kind of goes in and curves. You couldn't put, unless you came across the street, you couldn't put 3-car access into it off of Lila without giving the extension that he's asking for. And you can't put it on Lila because there's a transformer and a fire hydrant.
Right.
So there's your
There's
hardship.
utility issues abutting the property. That's why you can't turn off of Lila
Right.
and fit the 3-car.
Yeah.
And he's trying to keep the existing pool,
Yep.
which is a constraint.
And I would say the remainder of the footprint, if that's essentially what's being followed.
Yeah. It's within the property lines.
Is a
Whose house?
constraint.
The setback is only for that one portion of the garage. It's
Yeah,
not for
correct.
the whole house.
Correct.
Does that make any difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the utility locations, that the utility locations are what the true hardship is, in my opinion. Because if the transformers weren't there and the storm drainage wasn't there, then he could access via South Lila, and he could push this direction and stay within the setbacks. But with where his pool is and with the utilities there, the only way to get
Access.
It's
access
constricted,
from the rear.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That makes more sense to me now.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so,
Close the public hearing. Do you have anything else you want to say? Since we're open?
I'm sorry?
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I have nothing else to add. We do like backing out onto Lila onto the alley because it's safer, there's not people coming by on Lila, so that's why we try to stick with the configuration as well. Thank you.
okay, so we'll close the public hearing and hear from the board. And is someone ready to make a motion?
I'll do it. Any more discussion before we go?
No.
All right, so I'll move that the variance request for case VRB 26-03 for property located at 2308 South Lila Lane be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in the corner yard setback from 15 to 3 feet based upon the, with allowances, with encouragements for easing gutters, based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence for the record, and that this public, at this public hearing, and that the unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that between the utilities, the storm drainage, the fire hydrant, the transformer, it's not practical to use Lila Lane as a garage entrance there, and you can't do it off the front because there's 2 big trees in the front. Therefore, it has to come off of the alleyway in the back, and to practically make that work, you need to expand that garage inside.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, your motion passes 5 to 1. Thank you. And one more case.
Okay. We are on to the last item on the agenda, which is VRB-26-05, which is, the owner is TAC Holdings LLC. The applicant is Addie Mintry. The property address is 4040 Henderson Boulevard. The zoning is commercial general. This is for a electronic messaging sign, also known as an EMC sign. So the first request is to reduce the freestanding sign setback from 5 feet to 0 feet. A request to increase the EMC signage from 16 square feet to 40 square feet. And a request to reduce the EMC signage separation distance to 129 feet from 300 feet. The code section of references are 27-289. Height setback, the maximum height of a freestanding sign at the 5-foot setback shall be 10 feet. So there's a 5-foot minimum setback for freestanding signs. And then section 27-289.4, two-way streets with 60 feet or less of right-of-way width are allowed to have a maximum electronic messaging sign of 16 square feet with a separation of 300 feet between electronic messaging signs on the same side of the street. This is the property in question on Henderson. This is the location of the sign here, right along the right-of-way, kind of notched in this new retention pond. This is a close-up showing where that sign will be, right along the property line. This is a elevation of the sign. The gray square here in the middle is the EMC messaging portion. And then there's a plastic surgery part. This all meets the overall site square footage, but not the EMC square footage and separation. So that's why there's no increase for the overall signage. And then the sign is 10 feet high. Natural Resources had no objections with conditions. Transportation, wastewater, water, right-of-way, stormwater, all had no objections. And then TICO had no objections with conditions. And then, just for your reference, this is a UPS store here, and they have a freestanding sign located here where my mouse is pointing, and they have an EMC portion of that sign, and that's what's creating the distance separation.
Is it 0.0 setback?
It is not. It is set back a little bit farther. There were improvements on Henderson, and that's what kind of reduced this space as well. And then that is your criteria for review under 2780. And I'll be available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Good evening. Addie Mentry, 13266 Bird Drive, Odessa, Florida. I have been sworn in. I have a presentation. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. So I will try to make this as concise and quick as possible. So here's the vicinity map. As Stephen showed, this is the parcel map. It is currently vacant, but there is going to be Watt Plastic Surgery Center going here. They're under their site plan review currently. So we're asking for the 3 variances. So the reduction in setback from 5 feet to 0 feet, a reduction in separation between 2 EMCs from 300 feet to 129 feet, and then the increase in the EMC area from 16 to 40 square feet, resulting in an increase in 24 square feet. Here is the sign. So the sign is about 48 square feet. A normal sign is allowed to be 50 square feet. It's just asking for the additional EMC square footage. And here's the site plan that Stephen showed you. In the middle, you'll see the location of the sign at the property line in red. So the first request is a reduction in setback. This hardship is not self-created, and it is a result of the fixed site engineering elements, such as the dual driveways that are existing, stormwater systems, and drainage swale required for site engineering. It's further compounded by the 2023 FDOT right-of-way taking along Henderson Boulevard. This taking was initiated to prepare for the Henderson Boulevard Madison Avenue Vision Plan, a coordinated effort between Plan Hillsborough and FDOT to transform the corridor from Kennedy to Gandy into a safer multimodal roadway. As a result of this project, the property line shifted, and the area where the sign is might have been a setback, has been in a setback that no longer exists. The applicant has no ability to relocate the sign further into the property without encroaching on essential drainage or violating critical site triangles at the existing entrances. Placing the sign at the property line is therefore the only viable and safe location, and it remains consistent with the existing development pattern and commercial in the Henderson Boulevard corridor that this sits on. The proposed monument is moderate in scale and architecturally integrated with the building. The building sets back 90 feet, which is a larger setback than the existing buildings in that corridor. And here's on the screen, you'll see that all of these signs are in line with each other. The site in question, 4040, that has the location pin on it, it actually had an existing sign. I'm not sure, I couldn't find any historical data on why that was there, but you can see all of these are in line. So these other signs were permitted and they met the 5-foot setback, but because of the taking, now the property line is essentially sits right on these signs now. Here's the site plan again, and you'll see, and I couldn't find an old survey from our site, but this is the UPS site that's directly next to it. You can see here where there is the possible right-of-way taking, and it was in the official book and page in the state records as a DOT easement that they took for this enhancement. So the second variance is a reduction in separation. That is to reduce from 300 feet to 129. We also don't believe this is self-created. It is entirely the result of the pre-existing site conditions and the site engineering. The placement of the neighboring UPS sign, it was installed in 2022. It was there. Beyond the property's drainage pond, swale, and driveway locations were fixed during site engineering. The only viable location for this monument is where it is, and that's directly impacting the separation that we can have between the two EMC signs. By right, they are technically allowed to have an EMC sign, and so they're closer, but how we've designed them, there is no visual impact because our proposed sign is a monument sign and the UPS sign is a pole sign. And so when you're driving, the UPS EMC sign is above our monument cabinet, so you can still see both of them as you're driving northbound and southbound. And then here was a map just showing, so this location to the north is the existing UPS sign, and then in the middle is where our sign would be, and it's approximately 129 feet. And then our third request is to increase the existing square footage from 16 to 40 feet. While the city already allows EMCs along this corridor because they recognize their value, the 16 square feet limit makes them far too small to function effectively on Henderson Boulevard. At that size, the EMC could only accommodate 4 to 6 inch letters, resulting in less than 7 feet of readable time for a 40-mile-per-hour road. The U.S. Sign Council has shown that that does not provide adequate time for motorists to see, process, and safely react to information. So this is not an enhancement request. It is a necessity to ensure the EMC performs as the code intends, safely, clearly, and effectively. Without this variance, the city's allowance of EMCs becomes inequitable because the technology is technically permitted but restricted to size that cannot work on a roadway like this. The requested 40 square feet is the minimum area needed to provide safe and readable communication along this corridor. Allowing a single, appropriately sized EMC also reduces visual clutter by eliminating the need for multiple temporary or static signs and maintains a clean, organized corridor appearance. Most importantly, it allows small and mid-sized businesses like Watts Plastic Surgery to communicate on equal footing with larger brands such as UPS that already have stronger visibility tools. This variance ensures the EMC can function as intended in harmony with the city's goals for safety, clarity, and fairness. And so you can see, this is the U.S. Sign Council visibility letter chart. So it doesn't have 40 miles per hour on here, but if we're looking, so an EMC that's 16 square feet, because they come in not custom sizes, they're standard sizes, you could do a 2-foot sign by 8-foot sign to make a 16 square foot. And if you're putting 2 lines of copy on there, you can get up to 6 inches with the support that's on there. And if we're looking at this at a 40 mile per hour road, you have about 6, maybe 8 seconds, depending on how fast you're going, to actually view and process that sign. Thank you for your consideration. I'm here to answer any questions.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, questions from the board?
So I have a question, and
yes.
So it's a plastic surgery med spa. So what are the kinds of things that are going to be displayed on that sign, like deals?
Yeah, so I would imagine it will be deals, new patient, if they have updated hours, things like that. Yeah, there's no off-site signage that's going to be displayed. I know sometimes regional attractors come in here and they want to sell that. That won't be the case. It will all be branding, advertising, and messages for the center. They also have a second center, and so I think there's maybe some communication. I think they have an EMC at that too. So at this site. So.
And will there be signage on the building as well?
There will probably be a Watt Plastic Surgery building sign that's allowed by code.
So this is in a new facility. The old one is going to stay where it is on Swan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
So, one of my concerns is that it being a monument sign, and you have 2 entrances, look, Henderson is very tight. I feel like, especially driving a pickup truck down here, it's always dangerous. And now we're gonna be at a 0 lot line, and I realize that there's, right now where the curb is, it's back from the curb, but it sounds like they're going to expand Henderson and put this right on the property line. There's not even room for a sidewalk to go by it. So I'm concerned about the site visibility of pulling out from both of the entrances.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other piece would be you talk about the UPS sign is elevated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a post, like a lot of those signs, and you have that up in the air where you can see around that.
Mm-hmm.
This one being a monument sign is basically taking up a large block
Mm-hmm.
of visibility. Can you speak at all to or maybe that's a question for Mr. Eister? I don't know if that's
so visibility obviously is a big thing here. That's why we put it at the location that we put it at, because we couldn't put it on the south end because of the drainage. That was a big issue, but we also didn't want to put it on the north end, which was super close to UPS. So we have to, for permitting, have like the visibility triangles, which are 14 feet back. So from the property line, 14 feet back, their visibilities, triangles. I'm sorry, I don't have those. We do have them prepared for the permit. And this sign does not, it is not within both of the entrances that come down 14 feet for the FDOT required visibility. We wanted to make sure that that was, the case, because we did look at, there is like it's a 10-foot from like the jut out that we have the sign in from the property line to the back. That abuts that drainage. It is 10 feet. So we looked at, possibly a pole sign, but we thought that would intrude on the visibility of the UPS sign, and we wanted to be good neighbors. So that's why we designed it at the monument, at the monument level.
To clarify, I don't have a problem with the monument
Yeah.
sign, I just have a problem with the zero setback with the monument sign.
Yeah, so it clears the FDOT visibility triangles that would be required for permitting. I apologize that I don't have those
Are you
here with
saying
me
if you
today.
moved it 5 feet into the property that it would not meet the site triangles?
No. If we put them like on the north and south entrances, they would not meet. We don't have the room.
Have you looked into a design where it comes into the property the 5 feet and meets the setback?
So there's an existing drainage. Can I show the site plan?
Sure.
So here, this is like, it then comes down into this
I
like
see on the
existing
south side, you have a
drainage.
drainage pond that has a culvert that's
Mhm.
coming into the pond. That looks kind of like a grass island. I know it says drainage, but is there, I don't see.
In
any-
the middle?
I don't see any slopes. Yeah, if you just brought it 5 feet in and made that little cutout, an additional 5 feet in.
I believe in the
Or
civils.
made a nice little island in there.
I believe in the civils that we submitted, there is sloping on that drainage retention area. There's like sloping on the drainage retention area in the civils that we submitted to the record.
So, building on what you're saying, if that is a retention pond, correct? Could you not build, is it not possible to do 2 concrete pylons and it sits in the middle of the retention pond?
Yeah, I think, I agree with Todd. I think sitting on the right-of-way line creates a health safety issue. I mean,
I'm not real fond of that.
it is such a narrow road.
And that's with the expansion, right? So that's when the road expands to that line. It's already on the lot line.
Yeah, all the other signs will then be on the lot line that surround the site.
So perpetuate an unsafe sign?
I don't believe it's an unsafe sign. It meets the visibility triangles. We looked at ensuring
Well, if you bring it
that
further in,
was.
that's even better, it's visibility triangles.
Well, yeah, and each case is supposed to stand on its own merit. Just because so-and-so, did it, doesn't mean that it should happen here.
Of course. I can't really speak to the engineering that would be required to put it in a drainage retention area. We, as signage, consultants and experts, we normally don't put them in those. We have not been successful in other municipalities with doing that. So it wasn't something that we looked at.
Well, you just make that area, that little dent bigger, so it's more like a rectangle instead of a square.
I'm assuming it would lend to the height requirement, or it would force it to be higher if you're putting it in a footing that needs to be reinforced or elevated or something. I don't know.
I don't know that it would make a difference.
No, I don't either.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's just, you'd have to bring that little peninsula 5 feet back. into the
Exactly,
retention pond
yeah.
And allow it to do that, and that, you'd have to
You
make
would-
up for it somewhere, and maybe a rounded corner would be a little squared off or something, but, it's not a big ask. on the-
So with this, I understand the thought process. I know that it was engineered. I want to ensure that while if we're talking about, moving or making something bigger, that we're also not taking away what is required for them in this overall site engineering to get a permit, for their site.
I don't think that's
That's
not part of our.
That's not part of our,
So we've got three essentially very different parts of this variance. One is to reduce the site setback from 5 to 0, then to increase the sign square footage from 16 to 40, and reduce the separation from 300 feet
to 129.
To 129. So.
A question for legal maybe, because I think understand what the applicant's saying, like maybe they actually can't move it back based on other factors that we're not saying. Could we continue one of them and vote on the other two, just for clarification on that one point? Like,
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, you're asking if essentially, they're requesting 3 variances today, if you can bifurcate them into separate motions and do one for approval and one for continuance. Am I understanding that correctly? So yes, you're able to bifurcate the variances into separate motions if that's what you would like to do.
okay, I'm not sure.
I have another question. If the applicant
Hey,
would
why
be
not?
interested in continuing this until they had representation with them that could speak to the drainage and speak to the reasons why you're asking for a 0-line setback.
Right.
Yeah,
I think a motion for a continuance on this one,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, I'm
probably
gonna be
not
here too.
great for our next docket, but I
15th,
think we
the
need more
15th.
information
I'm
here
gonna
to
be
make
here.
an informed decision.
I don't disagree with
Yeah,
that.
to deny it outright if you actually can't move it, we would need to know that information.
I'd love
no,
to
I
see the
appreciate that,
triangles
yeah.
represented by an engineer about sightlines. The bigger concern with me is when that road widens, now you've got a grandfathered in variance right on the property line.
Yeah.
Which means no sidewalk. Does that work? And then you also have, it's right up against, a car, it's a danger for a driver.
Yep.
Slightly goes off the road and
Yeah.
you hit the sign.
So the taking, just so I'm clear, so I'm giving you all the information, the taking of the road includes, like, their improvements will include sidewalks.
Yeah.
Because it's a multimodal, project, so they're looking to include bike lanes, sidewalks, for that. So that will include, sidewalks that are beyond the property line, that will separate the road and the property line and the sign.
When is the next available board slot?
So the hearing in January, the second Tuesday in January is the 13th of 2026. Is the
January, what is it?
13th.
13th.
Oh, my birthday, great.
Oh, mine too.
No way.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I won't be here, sorry.
We can't have a meeting then.
Sorry.
Well, good news, I'll be your chair.
Yay. Okay, you can.
So we're gonna do a continuance?
Would you
Okay,
like us
so-
to pass part of it or consider part of it, or you want to continue all of it, or what's your preference?
Continue the whole thing? Yeah.
Yeah, continue the whole
Okay.
thing is fine. I mean, we're not gonna be able to
that's great.
submit for
That's fine.
permits anyways.
That's easier to read.
Yeah. And just so I'm clear as to what to bring back.
Yep.
Visibility, right? You wanna see visibility. You want to understand if the site engineering can accommodate like a further space
Correct.
into that drainage. And then anything
I think that's
else?
the largest.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
agree.
Yeah,
to allow for potentially the elimination of the
And
first.
could it go from 0 to 2? Like,
Gotcha.
0 is a tough number.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you heard any of the other cases that we discussed tonight, that's kind of a,
There's no room for it.
Yeah.
So does anybody have any questions about the other 2 items that we would want her to?
No, those don't bother me at
Yeah,
all.
those are okay with me.
all right. So someone gonna
Yeah.
close the
motion
public
continuance.
hearing and, hear from the board and make a motion.
Since I can do it this week and not next time. I would like to move that variance request VRB 26-05 be continued until the January 13th, 2026 meeting at 5:30 PM held at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, City Council Chambers, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed likewise.
Thank you.
See you back in
Yes,
January.
happy
Except for me.
holidays.
Okay. Are we done? Do you have anything else for us? We're adjourned.